Welcome. Sit back, strap in, put on your 5-point safety harness, and make sure that your seat backs, tray tables are in a full upright position because it's time for the goddamn Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Select. And I am Jeff.
Can you please untie me?
No, Joe.
Please.
That was,
I have to go to the bathroom.
No, I don't care. That's what the jar is for.
I just went to the bathroom.
Okay, well, that's fine.
I didn't make it into the jar.
The couch has seen so much worse over the years.
Yeah, but somehow your ceiling saw it too.
Well, that's a little strange, but this room is, I mean,
I do Kegels.
Do not ever turn on a black light in the recording room of Rage Select. No.
I was wondering why I was so crunchy when I sat down.
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually, and Jason and I were hanging out yesterday, and
Name dropper.
Yeah. Jason Murphy from Modern Rogue and I were hanging out yesterday, and he was like, we were talking with some people about Rage Select. We're maybe looking around for some people. I'm always on the lookout for new folks. So I don't know. You maybe see some new faces coming, but I don't know. And he was talking about recording here, and he was like, yeah, the red couch, it's soaked in beer. And I'm like,
beer if you're lucky.
I'm like, well, yeah, and whose fault is that? And he's like, Grant. I'm like, Grant doesn't drink when we record. He's like, Brian Salisbury. I'm like, Brian Salisbury knows how to handle his alcohol. And he's like, you? And I'm like, I drink coffee, bitch. And then he's like, well, I guess it could be me.
Yeah. Your mustache ain't just covering up that chin, Jason.
That's right. And man, dude is biting. I was the guy with the beard on this fucking website. Between you and Grant and now Jason's got this big, I don't know, that motherfucker, he pisses me off because like he grows this beard. I grow a beard. I just got it's a brown beard. It's on my face. Yep. It's a beard. Grows this beard. It's got like a stripe in it.
Yeah, no, it's already it's fucking seasoned.
Yeah. Looks like he's been working in the wilderness for shit. That guy. Anyway, well, before we get started, hey, those of you out there who have been living under a rock, because I think that everybody's been spamming this from their social media account, go watch Jason and Brian hack the Taco Bell menu. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the fallout. And you know what? Everybody who's everybody's like, well, why save money at Taco Bell when you could just eat somewhere else? You know, people got to eat, and not all of us make tens of dollars an hour, so Taco Bell is an option.
You goddamn right. Well, it was funny because their test case in the video. So first of all, you've not watched the video yet?
No, not yet.
Do you know the premise of the video?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so for those of you who haven't seen it, basically, Jason takes the Taco Bell mobile app where you can customize all your things, which you can do all this in the drive-thru if you want to, and basically takes dollar menu things from Taco Bell and then turns them into the other things at Taco Bell, right?
But I've been doing that for years.
Yeah. I mean, I think, but it's amazing because most of it's just like, because most of the burritos at Taco Bell are just fucking like, it's a burrito with these four things.
Yeah, it's all the same parts.
Right. So you just take the dollar burrito and you take this thing off of it and add these two things, and suddenly you have a burrito supreme for like 40 cents less than before. But what I found really interesting about it was at the end they do this comparison of how much each person spent with their Taco Bell order. So Brian Brushwood's order was like $11.36, and Jason's order was $7.45. I'm just going to say this. I have been known to spend $10 on Taco Bell.
Right.
But I feel bad about doing that. Like, I think that $6 is about the maximum you should be spending at Taco Bell.
Yeah, I know, and it's easily achievable too.
Yeah. I don't know. But then I'm an old man, so I'm over the last like 5 years, Joe, I've had to come to grips with the like, there's nowhere I can get lunch for $5 anymore, and it's like, yeah, that's right. Like, not even Subway for a while had those $5 footlongs, but.
Well, back in the olden days, Arby's used to have 5 for $5 roast beef sandwiches.
Last time I went to Arby's, that shit pissed me off because they're like, oh, now it's like choose any 5 for $12 or something like that. I'm like, dude.
We have mortgages available if you want to have 5 sandwiches.
Did you ever go to Arby's and get the 5 and then just sit down and eat all 5 of them?
Yeah.
What do you prefer on your Arby's? See, we're such a Taco Bell oriented. I don't even know how this has happened. Like, I don't even eat at Taco Bell that much, but this has become such a Taco Bell oriented website that we never bring up the other wonderful things like Arby's.
Well, back in the day, I'd get the 5 for $5. I would pay for cheese on 2 of them.
Oh, big spender!
The meats from the other 3 and combine them into 2 badass sandwiches.
So you just made 2 Big Montanas, with cheese,
Big Mo's. That was the worst marketing mistake they ever made.
I don't know what that is.
The Big Montana, they called it the Big Mo for short.
Nobody wants to order a Big Mo.
No, they don't.
Nobody wants a Big Mo. So what do you? Okay, so here's the real question: the question that divides man and beast on this world. What do you put on your Arby's roast beef sandwich?
Oh, I mean, it's just straight up horsey sauce and Arby sauce.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
That's all you got.
If you don't put horsey sauce on your Arby's, you're communist and get out of here.
You've missed half the point of Arby's.
What I don't really understand is why Arby's hasn't, like, over the years, why they don't just, like, why I can't just get a bunch of packets that are 50-50 Arby's sauce and horsey sauce already mixed up into the orange paste, right?
Yeah.
That I can just put on everything. I know everybody's, like, you know, just screechingly into sriracha these days, but fuck that, man. Arby's horsey sauce is the original sriracha before that shit. Like
the cute thing about Arby's and Taco Bell is they share this factor where their sauce is only good on the products they're sold with.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
I've never had leftover. I always use all of it.
Well,
so
in high school, I was known as the Arby's guy. So usually. Usually people would steal. This was back when they had squeeze bottles of Arby's sauce, so they would steal them for me.
Jesus God. Okay.
So, but
these are just like the plastic.
Yeah,
like, it's like the old, like the red ketchup cylinder with the little the little cone on the top of it.
Yeah,
but it was Arby's sauce or horsey sauce. Yeah. So they would steal.
Yeah, take it home, try to put it on something else, and just not working.
How did you become known as the Arby's? Did you eat Arby's all the time?
Well, like once every 2 weeks, but it was more than other people wanted.
No,
to go
that'll make you the Arby's guy.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. Everybody always forgets about them. There used to be an Arby's here in Austin that was down on Burnett Road that had a giant hat. That was like a giant.
It's now Hat Creek.
Yeah, now it's Hat Creek, and I'm not entirely convinced that company didn't make their logo a giant hat.
Oh,
so
no,
that
they
could buy
completely
that
did.
place and then turn the hat into
actually,
another
it's
hat.
because it used to be Roy Rogers' roast beef sandwiches before it was Arby's.
Oh,
and
good
his
Lord.
logo was his 10-gallon hat, and that's why Arby's just appropriated
So
it.
Arby's ripped off. So everybody's just ripping off the 10-gallon hat, just one after another.
So they're ripping off Roy Rogers.
Okay.
Congratulations, Arby's.
Isn't that a drink? You could get a Roy Rogers?
A Rob Roy.
A Rob Roy? Isn't that? I don't know.
It's a martini with an olive or with an onion.
Okay. All right.
Or a gimlet. I don't know. Whatever. I'm sure somebody will be like, well, actually, you're incorrect about your cocktails.
This is the internet.
Which I'm sure I am.
This is I don't know. Well, Joe, what have you been up to? I haven't had you on the podcast in a while.
Oh, just puppy danger.
Oh, yeah?
Just grazing a puppy and being slathered in its bodily output because it's a puppy.
Boy, I'm so glad that I got my dog when he wasn't a puppy. But do you get to hang out with a puppy every day? Like that's got to be like 10% of your puppy time, right? Is slathered in dog fluids.
On a good day, 10%.
20 maybe at the most.
I'd say 20. Yeah, it's riding around 20.
But then you've got an adorable puppy going.
Well, and it's great because you get in on the ground floor of how you raise it. So when it's an asshole, you know exactly why it's an asshole. It's like, oh yeah, I did that.
Are you like pre-programming some like when somebody says sit that's the instant attack command for your dog?
Yeah, exactly. Reverse programming it. Some people, a lot of puppies are racist, but this time instead of going the clear like black or Hispanic route, I'm going to go with like Inuit or Czechoslovakian.
I just like the statement. A lot of puppies are racist. I mean,
no, they really are.
This is a really serious problem that we've got in the United States of these horribly racist puppies.
Well,
they're also Trump supporters. A lot of Trump supporting puppies.
Well, they just
out
want
there.
to make America great again.
That's right. They just don't know any better. They're very young.
Well, so dogs are very stupid.
Yes,
we can agree upon that.
Sure.
So they don't generalize very well. So if they're in a group of any given ethnic group, they'll be fine with that. And anything that slightly diverges, they're like, I don't know what this is, but I know I hate it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm lucky that my dog doesn't seem to care about. Well, I don't know. Either that or he's just too scared of me. I can't. I don't know why.
You barely hit him.
Damn it. I had a friend actually who came over who was like very jokingly with my truly alcoholic man that I know, the most alcoholic man I've ever met in my entire life, who after he got kicked out of his apartment was staying with me for a little while. People probably remember that because he was on podcast.
Yeah, I remember
you
him.
met him when he
Yeah.
came over here. So he came over one time and he was drunk and he likes to pet my dog and he was just like, "Oh, does Jeff beat you? Oh, does Jeff beat you? He just punches you in the face. He abuses you." And I was like, "Ha ha ha ha!" And because he was drunk, he did this kind of nonstop for like an hour. And after an hour, I was like, "All right, dude, you have to stop saying that I beat my dog now because like I don't, and I don't appreciate this line of. It was funny like an hour ago, but now I feel like you actually think that I beat my dog, and I don't do that."
He joked himself into believing that you beat your dog.
I'm like, yeah, he's incepting himself into the idea that I'm a dog abuser, and that's not who I am. I'm not. I'm just like Arby's. That's who I am. Well, how is this? What kind of dog is it? I'm sure that everybody wants to know.
She's a pit mix that we don't know, but she looks kind of like a border collie pit hybrid.
Okay.
So
Long hair?
No, short hair though.
Okay.
But she's got the markings of like a Holstein cow.
I'm trying to figure out how that works because pit bulls have very blunted snouts and border collies have very swordfishes and
she's
shit.
got the middle, like she's
just right in between.
Yeah,
okay,
they took the difference, and that's her snoot.
and this is like you just got a dog, you just got a puppy.
Yep,
because you wanted one.
Well, no, a friend's aunt took a dog in, and then surprise, it was pregnant, and so it just shat out a bunch of puppies.
Oh,
and it was either like, well, either people take these puppies, or it's down to like Alpo for them to be turned into food.
No, I can't say that. But this is Austin, man. All you have to do, you could go out onto the street. You could just go down to the drag, or like you could go down to 6th Street with a box of puppies. You would have no puppies by the time the night was over.
That's true, and you can make some money too.
Yeah, selling puppies on 6th Street.
I'm sure that's legal.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would probably mess with you about that. Well, outside of puppies, have you been? Let's see. Have you been playing any video games outside of the ones that you play here?
I
on
played
Rage
Z-Type.
What the hell?
Z-Type is it's a browser-based typing game that's kind of like Asteroid.
Okay.
And I use that at work for the I want to sound busy, but I've got nothing to do.
Wow. Okay. So browser-based typing games?
Yeah. It's
I'm not going to actually play this. I'm just looking at it. Okay. Well, I mean, I know what a typing game is like. So
well, not this typing.
Not this typing game. Is it a phone game?
No, it's for the keyboard. So see, like, oh no, you gotta hide. Oh no, and then every once in a while, one of them is like a carrier that'll like blow up just random letters, and that's the hard part.
Okay, all right, that's not for me. Have you ever played Typing of the Dead?
Yes, I love Typing of the Dead.
Have you played? There was one that was like Typing of the Dead, but they started to have like DLC packs that were all just like swear words, or all like just funny stuff. I remember Jason and I played that one time a long time ago. Okay, so other than typing games, no, that's pretty much it.
No, I've had no time. I've had a puppy.
Okay, you've got a puppy, you've got a job, you've got Rage Select. No more time for anything. Well, I was going to talk a little bit before we got to the news about Total Biscuit, but I think that I'm going to leave that off for the moment and just get on to the news.
Yeah, sorry, Biscuit.
Yeah. He shut down his Twitter last week. I had some thoughts about that.
Oh, okay.
All
right.
It was a thing where somebody was criticizing something that he did, and he probably overreacted a little bit, but I didn't know this. The guy has terminal cancer.
Oh, well, then he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, and he was like, I don't need the stress of being on Twitter and having people like kind of come at me, because it was so... Okay, I guess I am going to talk about it for 5 minutes. So basically... as near as I can understand it, and some of the details may be lost on me because I was just kind of surfing, I started looking at the gaming news subreddit, and I think it's given me a lot better, like I've just been getting more interesting stuff. Like I've been posting some of it in my social media. So
gaming news, not gaming.
Yes. Yeah,
so
not our gaming, but gaming news. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So as I understand it, and I don't even remember how this came through. I don't even know if it was on that same subreddit. But basically... Okay, so Total Biscuit, you know who that is, right?
No.
The cynical Brit. He's got this he's a YouTuber. He does Let's Play stuff. He's got this series called WTF Is, where it's basically like he's a PC Master Race guy. He'll just pick a game and play it for like 2 hours and just show everybody what it is. So he was playing Warframe. And do you know Warframe?
Yeah, I'm aware.
I actually installed Warframe, and then it was like, oh, hey, how did I play 7 hours of Warframe? I should be playing The Witness. But basically, I think that, and I'm not entirely sure about how this happened, but Warframe is a free-to-play game, right?
Yeah.
And he got a bunch of, like, the actual monetary money that you can use to insta-buy stuff in the game. Because, like, okay, in Warframe, if you want to get, like, a new gun, right, you can do it one of two ways. You can buy the credits with real money and then just buy the gun, and then, boom, you got a gun, right? Mm-hmm. Or you can get a blueprint with the in-game currency that you earn by playing the game, and then you have to find all the materials to build that gun. Then you have to say, build this gun, and then it takes like 12 hours. In fact, one of the things in the game that you get is frames, which are these suits that your main character wears that are all like super fancy looking and cool. I bought a blueprint for one of those suits, and Matt Frank and I did it. This is all kind of going to be repeated on the Patreon video tomorrow. But Matt Frank and I were looking at it, and I realized that, like, not only do I have 5 different parts of that requires, like, rating runs to get, but once you get all those parts to build the other suit and you hit build and you pay the amount of money that it takes to build it, it then takes 72 hours to unlock that suit for you. Now, I think that, I'm not entirely sure if this is the case, but it's something like this. When Total Biscuit was looking at Warframe, either because of his huge fan base or because the developer wanted him to make a good impression, he somehow got a bunch of the real world money. It might have been through referrals, or like he put out a thing and then everybody signed up using his code and then he got a buttload. So he will just buy like anything that he wanted in the game. So, okay. Apparently he has his YouTube comments disabled because this is not a thing that's the first time that this has happened. But there's a subreddit where basically people set this up to comment on his videos because you get a comment somewhere, right? So a guy comes in and he writes this post where he talks about how, like, I think that when you looked at Warframe that it wasn't really fair because you weren't having to go through the huge grind that a person who's not spending any money has. You were able to just get all this awesome stuff, which takes like 6 months worth of grinding and collecting parts and doing things to get normally. So that it wasn't really a fair representation of the game because you made it look way more interesting because you were able to just jump right in to the most awesome parts of the game. Now, to be on Total Biscuit's side a little bit, the guy did call his video a review, and as I can personally attest, like, he doesn't do reviews. He's not giving a score. He's never said I'm an unbiased, person. Yeah. He's just like, let's take a look at this, right? It's like when people get all upset it's gone all the way back to the loading bar. When we were doing happy hour on the loading bar, people are like, this review is biased, and I'm like, this is like the first 10 minutes of the game, and we just started playing it. Like, we're not trying to evaluate it. We're just going, meh, we're old man and cranky. And anyway, so this happened. He read it. Then he kind of had a kind of sideways tweet about it where he was like, people calling my thing a review, blah 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 blah. And he was a little salty, threw a little shade, and apparently his Twitter followers were like, dude, this is like legitimate criticism, and you need to blah 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 blah. And so it was funny because looking at the whole thing from afar, it was so easy to see a parallel with, with my 300,000 followers. No, but it was such a minor thing that kind of just like set him off. And it's a thing that I can personally attest to having, like, it's not your one slightly salty comment. It's the fact that there's one slightly salty comment like every day of your life for years. So anyway, he turned it off. He did a little SoundCloud thing where he talked about he didn't actually turn his Twitter off. He handed the reins over to somebody else. So it worked with him to do. But he was like, I probably only have a couple years left to live. I want to spend them with my family. I don't want to be pissed off at Twitter anymore. I'm not going to do this. Now, again, from personal experience, I'd be willing to bet that within 2 or 3 months he's going to be back on either that subreddit or his Twitter because it's the hardest thing. The second hardest thing in the world is reading horrible things that people write about you on the internet. The hardest thing in the world is knowing that people are doing that and then just not looking at it at all. Like, I feel like if I ever wanted to, like, not read the comments on Rage Select, I'd have to literally turn off the notifications and then, like, put like an ad blocker or something, but like block Discus, and YouTube comments. So, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really interesting because he talked in his SoundCloud thing about other Let's Players that he knows that have had to go into therapy. And I'm like, yeah, that tracks, man. That sounds about right. The internet is not a great place.
Man, it's life in the fast lane. That's
the time. But I guess maybe the point of it, I was trying to kind of think of like, instead of just telling this guy's story on the air, like if there was something to talk about it. And it's, I guess what I'm curious about is, do you and also our listeners, I'd be interested to know what they think that if you're going to set up a kind of a public thing like this, if you have an obligation to engage with people, if you're obliged to engage with people when they have a problem with whatever you do. I mean, I'm not the best at it because I'm just like kind of shitty at Twitter. But
I think direct engagement is probably not the best when you're dealing with that many people.
Yeah.
But at least letting a user base or fan base know that you are acknowledging that they have this concern. How much impact it has on your personal mission, that's up for you to decide. But I think it would be unfair to just completely stonewall somebody.
Just cut it off and not... Because I know that there's some people out there that do that just basically turn off all the comments and then just are like, I'm not going to look for comments. I'm going to basically just like turn everything off and then get on with my life. And I don't know. I also found it interesting last week when that happened because there was such a difference when we posted our witness videos between like the comments on Rage Select and the comments on YouTube. Like the comments on Rage Select were just like, these are our most diehard fans who are just like, yay, fun, huzzah, like, oh, and here's the thing you said, and here's an animated GIF, and here's a link to a YouTube video, and blah, blah, blah. And the YouTube video, I think the first comment on YouTube was just like, oh my God, this is the worst. This is so painful to watch and blah. And man, it just kind of got me down because like Sarah and I had a really good time just like solving puzzles and making funny noises and stuff. So
that's all you gotta be about, man. Sometimes it's about solving puzzles.
Yeah, well, speaking of solving puzzles, it's time to solve the puzzle of the news.
Oh.
Check out my awesome segues that are not at all terrible.
I didn't even notice it. It was so smooth.
Boom. We have a shitload of news this week, so let's just jump right in. We're going to start with Electronic Arts.
Okay.
The artist formerly known as Electronic Arts. With a trio of stories, apparently... EA had a third quarter earnings call last week that said that Titanfall 2 and Mass Effect are going to be back somewhere between October of this year and March of 2017.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like a cable installation time period.
Well, yes. Well, I don't know. I mean, like the thing is that I would be surprised. Okay, so here's the thing. We can make some educated guesses based on this, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that EA would launch a new Mass Effect in the doldrums, which is January, February, March, right?
Right.
That's Q4, right?
Right.
I don't think they would do that. They might shove Titanfall in there, but I think that this is an indication that we're probably going to be seeing Mass Effect Andromeda before the year is out.
Oh, I bet November 17th.
Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm. What? Oh, because of N7? Well, November 7th day?
No.
Well, that was weird.
Well, because it's just before Thanksgiving enough that gamers could like get their little grubby hands on it, and it's close enough to the insanity of Black Friday that Gamma and Grandpa can buy it for little Billy or little Susie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those like let's maximize our returns sort of time periods.
You know what? Actually, I tell you what, I could be completely off base here.
Yeah, you are. What?
Mass Effect 2 launched January 26th of 2010. Mass Effect 3 launched March 6th of 2012.
What?
And original Mass Effect was November of 2007, but that's a little bit farther out. So, hey, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe let's see when did like Dragon Age Inquisition came out around it was late last year when Dragon Age Inquisition came out. That was November 18th of 2014. Dragon Age 2 was March 8th. So, you know what? I take it all back. Fuck it. People always talking about how I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Boom. And you made me look like an asshole in the process. Thanks, Jeff.
Hey, no problem. I would say that there's a precedent here for Mass Effect to be coming out of March 2017.
Well, I mean, it's not the total doldrums. It's not like July.
Yeah, well, that's true. I don't know. It's pretty bad from January onward. Like, there's just one. I keep saying this every year that I wish that they would take some of that shit from I wish they would have taken some of the shit from the end of last year and just put it over here in January. Even though January has not been that bad this year. I mean, January has not been as bad as I've had worse Januaries, to be honest. But I'd be willing to bet that, okay, so let's revise and say that I'd be willing to bet that one of these is probably going to be coming out holiday season this year, and one of them is probably going to be coming out in the first, maybe Q4 of 2015, but in the first 3 months of 2017.
Does Nathan Fillion need to make a house payment? Because then Titanfall might come out earlier.
Is he in Titanfall too?
Why wouldn't he be? He's in every game, isn't he?
No. He's in Halo.
He seems like he's in every fucking game.
You're thinking of, did you say Nathan Fillion?
Yeah.
You're thinking of Nolan North.
Oh, well, wasn't Fillion in some other, like, more bigger thing?
I don't know. I don't keep up with his non...
Sure.
Let's see. Nathan Fillion. Why is the first thing that autofills Nathan Fillion married? I don't care if he's married. I guess
you do.
Ladies care if he's married.
Dreams.
Let's see. Films, television, web, video games, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, Halo Reach, Family Guy, The Quest
I was
for
thinking
Stuff.
Destiny.
Yes.
I was way off.
Yeah.
Right, never mind.
Cade 6. He was the voice of God in Saints Row Get Out of Hell.
Why wouldn't he be?
Okay. No, I don't know. I don't know.
You hate white people. What is up with that?
I'm not even going to make a joke. All right. So next up on the list, speaking of EA,
yes,
we've got 3 different EA stories here. Our next story is actually really interesting. So EA is decided to buck E3 this year.
Okay.
They're not going to have a booth or a presence at E3 whatsoever.
Well, that'll save them some dollars.
Instead, they're going to have an off-site event called EA Play that goes from June 12th through June 14th, which is the days before E3. Because E3 starts... Wait a minute. Hold on. I need to make sure...
don't lie to the internet, Jeff.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure that I got this right, because I looked it up before, and it was the 12th. It starts on the 14th, 15th, 16th. Okay, so that means the 13th is the day when they have the conferences, because the actual show floor isn't open. So, yeah, that makes sense. So this goes through the 12th. So it goes through the day before E3. And it's apparently going to be open to the public. So if you're in Los Angeles, you can just run on down to EA and check out all their EA-ness.
EAO.
Yeah. They're going to have a live stream. They're going to have programming. I think that as we've seen time go on, I'm gonna make like a fucking Michael Pachter style thing and say that like E3 is getting less important every year. It used to be that you needed to watch a stream of E3, or you needed to, fucking before it was streaming, it was you needed to download some video of the conference and watch it later on to get all this stuff. But now with like YouTube and Twitch and all this shit, it's like, who the fuck cares? Like, just, I mean, both Sony and Microsoft have both had their own just like, well, we'll just rent a fucking theater and, throw our CEO on stage, show a bunch of game demos. We don't have to go to the Staples Center in LA. We could just do it.
Well, but that raises another question of, are these relevant anymore? Like,
the big
at
conferences?
All. Yeah.
I think they do a good job of being it's an event that is focused primarily on one company, and I think that that's helpful for a company. I think it helps get everybody excited about the things that you're showing. Like, so Sony had their PlayStation Experience thing like last year, it was like November, I guess, or December, where it's just like a 3-hour live stream of like, here's everything that we're doing, and here's a bunch of games, and here's a bunch of demos, and look, you like Uncharted 4, right? It was like everybody was like, yeah,
right, but you don't need a convention to do that,
right? We are on the exact same page. Is that as companies do this more and more? I mean, hell, Nintendo, they've just gone to we're just going to put out a YouTube video, Nintendo Direct, every 2 or 3 months to just be like, hey, everybody, here's what we're working on. Here's some gameplay of what we're working on, and here's when it's going to be out. Oh, guess what? It's out right now. Bop. And so, yeah, I almost feel like seeing a company as big as EA jump out of E3, that's pretty big. I mean, I've been to E3 twice, and EA's booths were fucking massive. Like the time when Jason and I went, EA's booth was like a 2-story thing with like a reception desk in the middle. They had like one section that was just for, I think it was like Battlefield Hardline, where they had like a 64-player PC setup, and then people waiting in line to play multiplayer matches with like a giant screen that was just showing highlights from that. And they were like, individual rooms where you can go see all this different stuff. So that's pretty big. But I just have to wonder, as the number of giant developers, as they all tend to glom together into one big mass, how much E3 is really even needed.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it does make me a little bit pissed off. Well, I don't know the specific details,
You're
but
pissed off.
I like it when we go to E3 and they treat us, the world's largest quotey fingers, press, like we're super special by letting us cut in front of other people and catering and trying to give us beer. So,
Oh, yeah.
CD Projekt Red, the only developer that ever tried to give me a beer, they tried to give it to me at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I can't argue with that.
No.
Hey man, we're gonna watch The Witcher 3. Do you want a beer? Yeah. Do you want a puzzle? Yeah. Do you want a T-shirt? Sure. Do you want some of these Czechoslovakian or these Polish pastries that we have over here? I'm like, no, I think the beer and the puzzle will suffice.
Yeah, actually, I'll trade the puzzle for some more beer.
Actually, and the puzzle came in a Witcher 3 tote bag.
Oh, that's adorbs.
And I lost it. Well, actually, no, I didn't lose it. I gave it back to them because I didn't want to lug it around. It was the first thing I had in the morning. And I'm like, I'm already a little tipsy. I don't want to be dragging a puzzle through all of E3. All right, and then finally in the EA news, we've got some more Battlefront news of the things that are coming. They finally outlined a bunch of the individual things that are coming to Star Wars Battlefront. Have you played Star Wars Battlefront at all?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't have a system to run it.
Okay. So basically, there's a bunch of free updates that happened last week. Tatooine survival map called Raider Camp that'll support Blast, Droid Run, Drop Zone, Hero Hunt, and Heroes vs. Villains. Hoth outfits for Luke and Han. The ability to create private matches, which is less, daily challenge at community events and general weapon mode and balancing tweaks. I really goddamn hope that they fix the DL-44 blaster because that thing is like so deadly.
Is it like the Halo pistol?
It takes 2 shots to kill a person, and it fires as fast as you can pull the trigger. So it's like really deadly. In February, there's going to be a new survival mission on Hoth. No map info. There's going to be a new Hoth multiplayer map supporting Walker Assault Supremacy, Fighter Squadron, and Turning Point. And Turning Point mode available on all maps that currently support Walker Assault and Supremacy. Turning mode is the mode that they put out in the Battle of Jakku, where it's like an asynchronous multiplayer mode where the attackers have to capture points, and if they don't capture a point within a certain amount of time, the map is over, and when they capture it, then it opens up more points and the clock resets. So March, a new indoor multiplayer map supporting Walker Assault Supremacy and Turning Point, and a new Tatooine Survival map. And then they finally have outlined what you're going to get for your god-awfully expensive season pass.
Oh, excellent.
Do you know about that, right?
Yeah.
The season pass is like $50 or something. All right. So, March 2016, Star Wars Battlefront Outer Rim, fight amongst the factories of Sullust and battle within Jabba the Hutt's palace on Tatooine. Star Wars Battlefront Bespin, summer of 2016. It's Hunter be hunted in this action-packed experience set in the cloud city of Bespin. And Death Star, Star Wars Battlefront Death Star, fall 2016. That's No Moon, one of the most iconic locations in the Star Wars universe, makes its debut in Star Wars Battlefront. And Star Wars Battlefront Expansion Pack 4 has not been detailed yet, but it should be early 2017. I got to be honest. I mean, I've been pretty vocal about the fact that I think Star Wars Battlefront's a real fun game. That ain't worth $50.
That doesn't sound like it.
It's just not. Like, I don't need more Hoth maps. There's already like 4 Hoth maps. I don't need more Hoth maps. I don't need more
Cold and white.
Yeah. I don't need more Tatooine maps. I don't need more Endor maps. I got plenty of all of those, right?
Dude, what about like fucking shit up on Coruscant? No, that would be fun.
That would be fun. There was actually a Coruscant map, I believe, in Star Wars Battlefront 2. I know there was a Camino map. Like, there's a bunch of places in the Star Wars universe, right? The only thing that I can say is, and somebody in the comment section, I read this article on Game Informer, and one of the people in the comment section made a really good point, that they doubt that Jabba's palace or the Death Star or Cloud City are going to be able to support Walker Assault as a game type, because that's not really a large enough area. It's probably going to be Blast and maybe Hero Hunt, maybe a couple other things, like smaller map styles. When one of the best parts of that game is the giant maps. Yeah. In fact, I'm a little also curious to know, I guess Bespin and all 3 of those, Bespin, Jabba's Palace, and Death Star. Well, if it's Death Star Interior, then I don't know if it would have the Flight Squadron mode on it. Right. I don't know. Like, if every one of these new map areas comes with like 6 maps, maybe. But I don't get that feeling. I get the feeling it's going to be one. It's going to be inside of Bespin. It's going to be in and slightly around Jabba's palace and inside the Death Star. And great, but if you had like 3 times that many maps, I mean, I'll be honest here, that's not worth $50. That's just I don't know. What do you think you'd like to see? What?
Well, I already said Coruscant because I mean, levels upon levels upon levels that you could do. As part of the same map because of it goes so far under, it goes so far up.
You just a mode where you're just falling through the sky cars, shooting at each other on the way down.
Do that, or you could go to the Jedi Temple and piss on it.
Oh, dude, what if there was they had a new mode called Youngling Slayer, where it's just like all you do is go to the Jedi Temple and blast children. Do it, EA! Come on, don't be a pussy.
Yeah, listen to the fans.
Yeah, both of us. I could probably get Randy in on this as well. Yeah, that ain't worth it. So yeah, go fuck yourself. So, anyway, all right, so let's move off of EA. Before we get started on what I like to call all the trailers, real briefly, it's funny, I was reading, this is more just a quick aside, but apparently The Witness that came out last week, do you know about that? The Jonathan Blow's new game? Is like the most pirated game on like some torrent sites right now.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Blow went on Twitter and was like, this, if we don't make any money, then we can't make any more games. And it was funny because I don't do Twitter much, but I went into that particular tweet and it's just, oh man, it's all over the place. But what I was amazed to find is that there are people in there still towing the piracy party line of like, well, those people were never going to buy it in the first place. And it's like, okay, that means you don't get to play it.
Yeah.
And some people are like, well, $40 is too much for this game. And it's like, okay, then you don't get to play it. And people are like, well, it's like a demo. They'll play it, and then if they like it, then they'll spend $40.
No.
That has never held water. Because as somebody who used to do a shitload of PC game piracy, I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, I may have done a few Steam sale purchases out of guilt from the old days, but I can tell you that in those old days,
nope,
I didn't know. That's a thing you tell yourself. You are fucking lying to yourself, pirate.
Yeah. Are you really going to pirate to be like, oh, I should buy this, and then think, oh, wait, I don't have to go eat at Taco Bell?
Right, exactly, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I was making a shitload of money, and I wanted to play all the games, and it was just straight up that. And hey, man, I sympathize with not making all the money. I mean, I am now... part of the whole reason I assume there is a Rage Select is so that I have an excuse to basically spend all of my money on video games all the time. Not only that, I have a reason to spend other people's money on video games. But it was hilarious, that like there was a bunch of people in there who were super emphatic with him on Twitter about like, well, if you want to stop piracy, you need to make a demo. Because then if we had a demo, and I'm like, dude, there's an extra credits show about demos that like, no. In an age when YouTube Let's Plays exist, you don't need a fucking demo, ass.
No.
You don't need it. You can go watch it on Twitch for an hour, and you're going to know whether or not you want to buy this game. Like, the demo is going to last for 20 minutes. The Twitch stream is going to last as long as you goddamn want to watch it on Twitch. Like, if somebody turns off The Witness, you could just go watch another stream of The Witness. You watch the whole thing. There's probably somebody who's already put the entire game on YouTube if you just want to go watch it. So I was just amazed to find that in the year 2016 that piracy advocates are still towing the same stupid line about, like, well, the only things that were really cool is apparently when Braid came out, Jonathan Blow made a broken version of Braid and then seeded that on all the torrent sites.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and somebody asked him, like, why don't you do that with The Witness? And he was like, well, we didn't have time because we were trying to make a good game and we're trying to get it out. We didn't have time to go make something to dick around with pirates. So, I don't know, man. I think that you could watch our 30-minute video of The Witness and you're going to know whether or not you're going to want to play that game right there. I'll tell you what, it's not like 6 hours into the game that the story suddenly becomes a big thing, because it don't. All right. So now we are into our first trailer, Joe.
All right, let's do this.
It's time for Trailer Madness. And our first trailer is, let me make sure that I've got the name of this correct, is for Detective Pikachu. And he is not, this trailer's all in Japanese, but Detective Pikachu it's so strange. So it's like a Pikachu.
Uh-huh.
He's got like a truck. He's got like a hat. He's got like
and Detective Boy Conan. No, I get it.
Deer catcher hat on. He's got like a pal, and he talks. Like, I don't know if you can hear this in the trailer. Like he has dialogue. He's not just saying Pikachu. It's like straight up dialogue. This is the reason I love Japan, Joe. It's because only Japan is like, you know what would probably be a good thing to do with Pikachu? Make him into a detective where he solves crime with the kid pal and has a voice and he talks now.
All of this makes sense.
Yeah, sure it does. Look, there was just a scene in this trailer. Did you see that? Where it's like, look at this. Where like, it's Pikachu and this kid, and they're like looking at the body of like a dead Pokemon, out on the street. It's like CSI Pokemon. This trailer is just bananas, and I fucking love it. Apparently, this is going to be a 3DS game. I read some details about it that were translated from another website where they said that apparently, like the Detective Pikachu is like a bad Pikachu. He doesn't have any electric powers.
Well, no, I mean they're all shifted towards solving crimes.
Yeah, and he apparently he's like a womanizer too. Like,
wouldn't he?
What does it say here in the thing? It says like, okay, so they're going to be Detective Pikachu and Tim. Are going to be going around Rhyme City looking for evidence using the magnifying glass. Okay, since this is from GameSpot article. Since Detective Pikachu is able to talk, he's incapable of doing any of the Pokemon signature moves and also isn't very quick. Basically, he's a bad Pikachu. On top of this, he's weak around attractive women, and he also likes to drink coffee.
I don't understand how that Pikachu differs from me.
I don't understand anything about the world of Pokemon, but I'm like, okay, you do whatever, Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why does this one? I mean, was he like, is he a mutant? Is he like, was he professionally trained? Could all Pokemon talk? Is the only reason that they can't talk because they lose their powers? Or
the only other one that taught itself to speak was Meowth. So really, this is a high level Pikachu that we need to pay attention to and respect. Okay?
Did Meowth have powers?
I don't know. I guess.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay. Well, I don't know. All I know is that this is rolling in Japan on February 3rd, and it's going to be on the 3DS. And no other releases announced yet.
And in the U.S., there's some traction trying to get a petition to have Danny DeVito be the voice,
which I think is terrible. It's not terrible. It's just so obvious. I want Benedict Cumberbatch to be the voice of.
Okay, but that's obvious for a different reason.
Yes, it's totally obvious for a completely different reason. I don't know. You know what? No, I'll tell you what. I want Gilbert Gottfried to be the voice of Detective Pikachu.
Okay. No, that
Danny DeVito is crude, but I think that I like look at the face of Detective Pikachu and just tell me that you can't see that nasally Gilbert Gottfried voice. Come on, Tim, I can't do Gilbert, so I don't know. Anyway, next up on the trailer parade. Actually, I think I would like people to chime in the comments and let us know who they think the voice. I mean, it was weird because the trailer came out and there was like a change.org petition and there's just all these people that are like, Danny DeVito would be perfect. I'm like, because he's short? Is that what it is?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. And Pikachu is short? That's all it is? That's all we're doing?
They're not done with It's Always Sunny.
Okay. And, like, we already had Peter Dinklage be a voice actor, and it didn't work out so well, so they're like, no, Danny DeVito. Okay. All right. Sure. All right, next up on the hit parade. So, in one of the worst kept secrets of all time, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutants in Manhattan has finally been announced. This is the Platinum game that we kind of all knew was coming out, that they just hadn't actually officially announced yet. So they announced that they put out a trailer. Just as you know who Platinum Games is, right?
Kind of.
They're the guys that made the Transformers Devastation and Bayonetta and a bunch of those. This is going to be apparently I think you can play up to 4 players in this. Each one of the Ninja Turtles is going to have like a different set of powers. It looks real fun. Like it's got this kind of partially cel-shaded look. It actually looks an awful lot like Transformers Devastation, which if they do the same that they did for Transformers Devastation would be nice.
They figured out that lighting engine and they're going to use it as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of cel shading, but
that's you.
It's also not like super egregious. It's not like, horrifically there. But yeah, in the trailer you can see a bunch of stuff. I like how crazy it is. I like that they got I don't know who the shark guy is, but they had Bebop and Rocksteady. And I swear to God, that rock guy was like from Dimension X. So does that mean that Krang is going to be in here?
He better be. God damn it.
Shredder looks all nice. There's Bebop and or Rocksteady. I can never remember which is which, but I don't know. This looks way better than all the freaking movies that I've seen so far.
No, absolutely.
So yeah, go check it out. It looks cool. I don't know. Do you have fondness for Ninja Turtles?
Oh yeah, of course I do.
Yeah,
but as long as Raphael is always a stone cold psychopath.
Okay, just cranky, just Dr. Cranky Pants.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is going to feature 4-player online co-op with each turtle has its own moves and customizable skills. The story is being made by Tom Waltz, who apparently has written stories for IDW, some Ninja Turtle stories for IDW. So yeah, it kind of sounds like, I almost feel, I was having a conversation with Matt Frank yesterday about licensed properties and why there aren't any anymore.
Uh-huh.
This seems like the perfect type of licensed property. Take a developer that you know how to make a game, get a comic book writer who's written a bunch of stories about this particular thing. Don't base it on the movie.
No tie-in.
Right, and just make yourself a Ninja Turtles game and be like, look, it's a good Ninja Turtles game. Buy this. All right, next up. Oh, yeah, there's my tab for Danny DeVito's. We got a Twilight Princess HD, which I kind of keep forgetting about, story trailer. Did you play Twilight Princess? Are you
Yes, I did.
You a big Zelda fan, Joe?
Yeah, I like the Zelda's all right. He's so cool with that sword of his.
What? The Master Sword?
Yeah, Zelda when he wields that Master Sword.
Oh, Prince Zelda when he Did you play Twilight Princess?
I did. Yeah.
It's been a long time since I played it. Did you play it GameCube or Wii?
GameCube.
Okay, me too. It's funny because I was watching this trailer and it starts out kind of in like the middle of the game, and then it comes back to like the very opening of the game where you're in your dumb village, and I'm like, oh right, and then it was like you like heard a bunch of cows or something, and it was just like, why? This is bullshit. Like, I think I like Twilight Princess. I don't know if I really would want to play it.
I would want to play it like Wind Waker. I would play the shit out of again in a heartbeat.
It was so weird, too, because I was looking at the comments on this particular trailer on YouTube, and some people were like, oh, man, this is the best one since Wind Waker. Wind Waker's my favorite. And I'm still like, I'm going to go with A Link in Time or A Link to the Past. No.
Yeah.
Is that the one on the Super Nintendo?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, the Super Nintendo one.
It's one of the ones I missed.
Or like maybe Majora's Mask. Like I didn't finish Majora's Mask, but I really liked
Majora's Mask is fan favorite, most likely.
I don't know, man. I see more love for Ocarina and Wind Waker than I do for Majora's Mask.
Well, I've seen more for Majora's Mask.
Well, maybe if you didn't go to all those majorasmask.com.
Hey, those people know how to fun, okay?
The chat, all your Majora's Mask chat rooms that you hang out in all the time, Joe. The Majora's Mask subreddit.
That's right.
But I don't know. I mean, this is actually a game that I wouldn't mind having an HD version of it on the Wii U. It looks real good in this trailer. Like it holds up really well. It's one of those things that I feel like does real good with Nintendo, and especially with Zelda, is that the art style is so solid that you can take a relatively low resolution game and up-res it, and it looks real nice.
Yeah, it looks fine.
I don't know if I'm really down for all of that switching between the two worlds midna stuff.
Wait, amiibos.
Yeah, there's a limited edition that comes with a little Link amiibo.
Amiibos.
And apparently that amiibo will store data that you can use to unlock stuff in the new Zelda game that's coming out sometime this year. So, all right, next up, as I previously mentioned before we started this, one of the most inscrutable franchises of all time.
Go on.
I don't understand at all. American Truck Simulator is coming out next week.
Yes.
Have you ever played Euro Truck Simulator?
Yes.
Okay.
It's awful.
Okay. I was hoping by your enthusiastic response that you could explain to me why you would ever want to play Euro Truck Simulator.
I did it just because I couldn't believe that that's all it was.
I only bought it because it had Oculus support, and then it had really, really bad Oculus support. And I got to admit that, like, as a thing to play with the Oculus Rift, it was pretty cool because I was in the cab and I could look around. But then you just drive.
Yep, that's what you do.
You just drive your truck between different places.
Well, hopefully in this one you can at least get a handy from some 15-year-old runaway or
like
at his stop.
The meth in the bathroom minigame, the trucker meth minigame, or like you got a meter that's like your I don't know.
You've got to need to take a shower meter, but it only runs out once every 4 weeks.
Okay, so I guess the thing is that, like, in Euro Truck Simulator, they had like cities, right? Like actual, honest to God cities that exist in Europe.
Yeah.
And like things that went between them, right?
Oh, say, okay, come on. This is shenanigans.
What?
This is only the starter pack, California.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
That is horseshit.
Bullshit. I want Texas. I want to see if I can drive into downtown Austin.
Hells yes.
And just drive up on the Capitol in my fucking 18-wheeler and be like, anyway, if anybody, I know that there's at least one person on this website, you know who you are, who likes Euro Truck Simulator. Can you guys explain to me why the fuck you like Euro Truck Simulator? Don't get me wrong. The graphics in that were very nice.
Yes.
The lighting effects and the trucks and the traffic and the roads, they all looked quite lovely.
The boredom was really well rendered.
Absolutely. But why? I just don't understand why. All right, we got one more to look at, and this is a game that I didn't actually know. I actually have not been following this, but a story trailer came out this week for, so there's a company called Focus Interactive that I really like. They made Styx and, God, who was some of the other things that they made? They're like a weird French middleware company, or I think they're French. And they make just like weird, Bound by Flame was one that they did, like weird, wishy-washy kind of middle tier games.
All right.
Well, they're making this game, Gothic Armada, which I don't know if you can tell.
Is Warhammer 40K.
Is Warhammer 40K. And it is a Warhammer 40K space RTS with the actual
cathedral ships and stuff.
Yeah. And you can play as the Imperium, Chaos, Orcs, or Eldar, of course, because that's all they ever let you play. Because fuck the Tau. Like, who cares about them? Necrons are dirty cheaters. That's all I have to say. So this is a story trailer that came out that's got some, like, it kind of looks like they're doing some kind of motion comic-y sort of stuff.
It looks like they're doing Friendship is Magic to destroy a planet.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I got to say that the actual, here, I'll pull this up. This was this week, but the actual gameplay trailer that they had, game looks like hot shit. Like, it looks, and I mean, not like Dookie on the street, but like, like, I'd play the hell out of that.
Dookie in the sheets.
What?
No, just the idea of the ship RTS already appealed to me. So if it doesn't turn out to be a poopy turds, that would be nice.
I mean, usually they don't make like the world's greatest games, but they make a fun game. They're the kind of company that where you can recommend their game to somebody and be like, you should play this. It's interesting. It's flawed, but it's interesting.
Get it on a Steam sale.
But yeah. But like they're talking in this particular trailer I watched the other day, and they were talking about how you can like do short warps, you can ram other ships, and so all the stuff. I never played the space side of it because Warhammer 40K is frightening to me. I have a wallet and a budget and a life, so
it's not going to happen.
I'd have to quit drinking entirely.
And you're allergic to painting figurines.
Yeah. But I do like the idea of driving around big old ships and running them into other ships and shooting at ships with the ships, and it looks like you could see this right now. I think it looks really good.
It looks fun.
Here's the one where there's a bunch of missiles going at the ship, and he's like, guess what? I'm going to teleport. Boop. So, yeah, if you guys haven't really seen anything about this, and you're like me and you think that space is the bomb, and Warhammer 40K is the bomb, and Chaos are a bunch of jerks that deserve everything that they get when they get their heads all messed up, then go check out the trailer for this. So, I think it looks real good. All right.
Oh, wait. But what if you fused that with the truck simulator? So you're just driving a cathedral ship around the universe.
Euro Battlefleet Simulator.
Yeah, exactly. Except you don't actually fire anything.
You just, shipping, like, you're just a shipping. Well, it's funny because the one thing that I always find missing from the Warhammer 40K universe is anybody that's not fighting a war.
Right. Supply lines, anything.
Like, not that I really want to read, like, a whole book or play a campaign that's about, like, a bunch of people farming on a planet before the orcs show up and start destroying everything. But every game seems to take place on a planet where the orcs have already showed up and started destroying everything. And then, here comes Chaos, and they're destroying everything as well. And who is there? Well, you've got the poor Imperial Marines, and then here come the fucking Space Marines. I'm fucking Indominus cockpiece. Yeah, I'm 12 feet tall, and I'm made of the Emperor's jizz. So, anyway,
But yeah, shipping Gazorpazorp apples to like Gloob Glop Prime or something.
Right. Because there's got to be something happening besides genetically engineered war at all times.
Yeah, like who are they fighting for at this point?
Right. Right. All right, so we got a couple more. We got like three or four quick news stories, and we're going to go ahead and take a break. Next up, Good Old Games. GOG has announced that they're going to be adding games in development on their channel, which is basically early access.
Uh-huh.
But they're doing it in a real interesting way. They're not letting just anybody put anything, just slather any poop on their website. They're basically picking specific games out of the millions of early access games.
Yeah.
Not like Greenlight, where you're letting like I love you, Steam, but like Greenlight might be the worst idea you've ever had. Like you're going to let the internet decide what games get to go and which. Okay.
Yeah, dick butt the game.
Yeah. Anyway. So right now they're adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Starbound, Ashes of Singularity, Project Zomboid, Terratech, and the Curious Expedition. The other thing that they're doing is they're offering a 14-day refund policy.
Ooh.
So you can try any of these out, and if you feel like they're not done enough, you can get a refund. I hope it's a little bit easier than the Steam refund policy. Steam isn't that difficult. I just wish it was one button that I could just press for refund, but I guess
Hey, it's a button to buy.
It is. I mean, you have to like write a paragraph telling them like why you're returning this. And I think I've returned one game on Steam where I was just like, this is terrible. Please give me my money back. And they were like, okay, you have 400 Steam games. You've never returned a single one. Have your $3 back, Jeff from Rage Select. But I like this because I think that they're also discounting all of those games up till February 2nd, up to 40%. So if you're in early access, maybe take a look. I like the idea of a controlled early access environment much more than...
Well, yeah, a little more sifting.
Yeah. Speaking of early access, do you know what was supposed to come out like in like a week or two?
No.
Okay. Do you know what Mighty Number 9 is?
Yeah.
Okay, the Mega Man game.
Yeah.
Well, it's been pushed back again.
Oh.
It was already pushed back once to February of this year. It's now been pushed back. They don't even have an estimated release window.
Does that mean it's super shitty or?
Well, okay. So apparently the problem that they say is that they're having problems with the net code in their Unreal 3 engine that they're using, and they kind of have to rip it all out and start over again.
Yikes.
To make the networking functions of the game work properly. Again, I've armchair quarterback this shit all the time, and I understand that it's irritating to people who know more than I do, but I'm of an opinion that this has already been a Kickstarter that's going to be now over a year delayed, right, from when it was supposed to have been delivered. Remove the net portions of it, because it's at heart I played the demo. It's a side-scrolling Mega Man-ish type game.
Yeah.
Remove all of the networking parts of it, leaderboards, whatever it is. Put that out, and then patch that shit in later.
Yeah.
Because you would probably, and I know that that's easier said than done, because if you pull a bunch of netcode out, like, you're going to be leaving a big hole that you have to test around, right?
Right.
But it would be better to say, hey, we're going to be delayed by a week, and I'd rather see a game say, we've been delayed by a week, we're adding in this netcode, it's going to be coming in September. Here's the game, though. The game that you guys crowdsourced, here it is.
Right.
Have it, because this one has seemed a little weird, a little fraught with, like, because they did a Kickstarter and then they put up a second round of crowdfunding on their page to, like, add in stuff that I felt like, why?
Well, do you want color in the game or not?
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if once this game comes out, I don't think it's really going to be worth it. But that's, whatever. I'm not as big a Mega Man fan. So I don't know if you know this, but apparently, like a couple weeks ago, there was a story that floated through that I kind of just let pass over, where Sony tried to patent Let's Play.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yep. And the courts were like, no, bad Sony, this is the thing. You can't just make, like, Netflix and chill. No, well, I guess you can, because that's Netflix.
Did they learn nothing from when Donald Trump tried to trademark "you fired"?
No, apparently not. Because they got a second rejection where they basically came back. I mean, I feel like I almost feel like this is weird, because I almost feel like Sony, I get the impression that it's like somebody at Sony was like, hey man, what are our lawyers doing? I'm like, they're nothing.
They're on retainer.
They're just
already
jacking it to internet porno, and it's like, well, go down there and tell them to put their pants on and fucking patent something. I don't care what it is. The color black, the word Oni, like, I don't care, you know. And they're just like, well, what about Let's Play? Yeah, do that. Also, buy Twitch. It's like, sir, Amazon. It's like, okay, well, I don't know. Because who the fuck could Sony think that they are to try to do that? Like, what was going to happen? Like, even if you did it, if you managed to succeed, you would have instantaneously pissed off 90% of the gaming community.
Well, this is a company that already owns Crash Bandicoot, so you should be happy with what you've got.
Besides, it wouldn't stop anybody. It would be like Kleenex or Xerox or whatever.
Right.
It wouldn't stop anybody from using it. It'd be like, hey, this is my Let's Play channel. And Sony's like, meh. And you're like, okay, this is my Ret's Flay channel. I don't know. Like, this is, hey, everybody would just make up another term in 5 minutes, and guess what? You'd own two stupid words put together.
Let's us play.
Right. And then you would look bad to everybody. Come on, Sony.
Yeah.
Use your head with this shit. Come on. There's a rumor out there that the new Ghostbusters game is in the works. Apparently, Activision has really been interested in the traction they got from the Lego Ghostbusters, this Ghostbusters set in Lego Dimensions, and the 2009 Ghostbusters game. So they say that they might be working on a new one, or there's just some reports and rumors. And
is this going to be like the Paul Feig cast?
I don't know. I think that would make a certain amount of sense to me if they had again a tie-in to the movie. And it's funny because this article that I'm reading on Game Informer, right, does not mention the new Ghostbusters movie at all. It basically just says a report working on a new full-fledged Ghostbusters game. It's a story and retail merchandiser Mark Kaplan said he's been pleased with the enthusiasm around the franchise ever since the 2009 video game, recent toy line. There's eagerness to continue to grow the brand. I haven't read the actual article, but this article, quoting this other article, says 0. Scroll down to the comments. What do you think the very first comment is?
There better not be girls in it. Stupid.
Like, the first comment when I looked at it before was, the only thing about the new movie that bothers me is Chris Hemsworth as a receptionist. I'm like, this has nothing to do with this. I mean, it could very well be a game about the new cast, right? But this story is not mentioning that at all. And I'm just like, okay.
Well, I'm glad you could react negatively to this.
Yeah. And then, yeah. And finally, last but not least, guess what happened last week?
I pooped a whole bunch of times.
Okay. Well, in similar news, Peter Molyneux went on Twitter and said, overall, my time in the industry has been bittersweet. However, my biggest mistake was Fable 3. It pushed me and my team to the limits. Goddess will be taken down from Steam store with immediate effect thanks to all those involved. This is also the time I'd like to announce my retirement from the games industry. It has been a long journey for me. Thank you.
All right, bye.
And then like 1 hour later, my account has been hacked. You could tell because they know how to spell. I am not retiring, not closing Goddess. So apparently somebody hacked Peter Molyneux's Twitter account and used it to fake retire him and say Fable 3 was my biggest. I don't even know. Are people still fucking salty about Fable 3?
Yeah, it's time to move on.org.
Yeah, I mean, like Goddess, or what was that box opening game that led up to Goddess that I played for like an hour and went, this is fucking terrible. Like, yeah. So anyway, no, Peter Molyneux's still out there, still making stuff, apparently.
And remember, guys, you don't get mad because you don't have to buy it.
That's true. That's very, very true. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. And I tell you what, Joe, we're actually kind of right on track. We're right at about an hour.
All
so
right,
there you go.
Let's do some rails.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. We're going to do some rails of horsey sauce, Arby sauce. I got the Chipotle sauce from Taco Bell, some of the red sauce.
Yeah, fire.
Yep. And we'll be back in just a minute to answer your questions. Joe, is that time. It's time
to flush out all of that horsey sauce that we just snorted up.
Man.
I like the burn.
My sinuses are they're on fire.
I got other things to do today. I can't.
Yeah.
I got to flush it out.
Do you on your rank in your world? Do you prefer horseradish or spicy like capsaicin spice?
Oh, No, man, that's like which hooker do you like the best? They're great for different reasons.
Wait, why can't you answer the question, which hooker do you like the best?
Well, because everybody brings something else to the game, and that's the burn of horseradish versus like a capsaicin.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, everybody, mail at rageslate.com is the email address if you want to send in your horsey sauce-related questions.
Or tell us about your favorite hooker.
Or tell us about your favorite hooker. Why is she your favorite? Or he? Why are they your favorite? But before we start, I started to get, okay, so a brief aside before we start on the emails.
Yeah.
All right. Mail at rageselect.com is an email address that is actually on the internet. I posted it on Twitter.
Right.
It's been on Facebook. It's in a bunch of our videos. I get hella spam. Like, hella spam.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it's all the regular stuff. It's either like, grow your dick and fuck all night. Or like, oh, you got your Amazon package is waiting to be delivered. Click on this link at thisisnotavirus.com/Amazon/ this is not a virus.
Credit card information.
Right, exactly. But last week, I got a new spam email that is actually somewhat disturbing.
Okay, go on.
All right, so this is a very long email, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically this email starts with, "Hi, do you want to hire a real assassin to kill your boss, wife, or enemy?" And then it goes on to basically give you step-by-step instructions about how to get a Tor browser, log into the dark net, find a person, buy bitcoins, and then use them to murder another human being that you might need murdered.
Well, I really wish you wouldn't send my promotional emails out.
Well, if you didn't send it to me 12 times over the last week, it's like this is brand new.
Well, you're not getting the hint.
But I mean, it's so strange because this last paragraph, hire a killer to kill the old wife and get insurance money. Then you can live like a king. This is not a movie idea, is a practical thing with the today deep web. I'm like, it's just so strange to get an email that's like, because I'm used to it. You know, I've been on the internet a long time. Your penis doesn't work. You need Viagra. You know,
hey, I need to get the money.
Right, or like, oh, your relative Franklin Rage Select died in Nigeria, and I just need $10,000 in escrow to get his money. All of them, right?
Yeah.
But this is the first time that I've ever had this is the first time the internet has tried to fill the need of, do you need somebody to be murdered in real life?
Well, so I think this is the other part to a spam email that I got once, which was, I have been hired by somebody you know to kill you. But if you want me to kill them instead, just pay me. And it went through all of this detail.
Really?
And it even gave me directions to the closest Western Union with the starting point of the farm that I own. Like how to get to the Western Union from that farm that I own.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just the first time that I've ever run into this. This is not a thing I ever thought the internet would try to solve for me. I'm like, internet, I'll do my own murder. It's fine. I don't need to.
Well, this is definitely Web 3.0.
Yep. I mean, it's kind of like I had somebody who tried to extort bitcoins out of me based on a hack. I think it was. And I looked it up, and apparently there's a group that does the same thing. They did this to Ashley Madison's. They took the Ashley Madison hack.
Yeah.
They took all the email addresses, and they emailed everybody, and they were like, I have your data, and I'm going to release it. You must send me 1 Bitcoin if you do not want me to release your data. And I looked at it, and I was just like, and they were like, we'll release your home address and your phone number. And I looked at this email for a little while, and I was just like, I thought really about emailing the backup, just being like, you know what? Go for it, man. It's not that hard to find my address. It's not that hard to find my phone number. Like, who cares?
You're not cloaked in secrecy.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck it, man. Fuck it. All right. Well, enough about murdering your wife. Like, it's so focused on murdering your wife. Like, it mentions your boss like once or twice, but it's more focused on murdering your wife more than anything else. Let's get on to the actual questions. Our first one comes in from our friend VJ, who says, hey guys, VJ here. I quite enjoyed the Dragon's Dogma Dojo episodes, and even though old drag queen Bertuxen throwing people off cliffs was sorely missed, the dragon dick slashing made up for it. Your comment about not being able to get into the game the first time because you started with the boring stuff made me wonder, what other games did you have trouble getting into because you weren't doing it right? For me, it was The Witcher 2 pre-enhanced edition. Although my friend assured me that it was a great game, the combat system was so obtuse, I kept getting my ass kicked in the opening area itself. Wasn't Geralt supposed to be some kind of supernatural badass? Consequently, I lost all interest in the game and never got back to it. Thanks for answering my question, and rage on from VJ. So have you ever had a game that like you tried to get into and you were like, and then you came back to it later on and you were like, ooh, or insert your own sound effects for don't like and then do like. I mean, I'll say that The Witcher 2, I had the exact same experience because The Witcher 2 launched without, like, in a really weird way. The Witcher 2 launched and it started the game and you were in this interrogation cell and this guy comes to interrogate you about what just happened. And he gives you like 5 options and it's like, well, we started on a boring road, and then like then the battle started, but it was kind of stupid, and then a dragon showed up, and I was like, ooh, dragon, and I thought this is just like a Mass Effect game, right?
Right.
But what I didn't realize is whichever one of those each one of this is a scene of the beginning of the game, and you're supposed to do them in top to bottom order. But going to Dragon, before the game had taught me how to like walk, take out my sword, block, do anything.
Yeah.
It just immediately put me in this place, and a dragon fucking torched me, and I was like, man, fuck this game. But the nice thing about CD Projekt Red is that they went back in and they patched a whole like 20 to 30 minute tutorial before that ever happens. And then when you get into that part of the game, I'm pretty sure that they gray out that option until you've done the first 3 at the top. So yeah, it took me about a year to get back to The Witcher 2 after I tried it for the first time because I was like, what? And then I needed like an excuse to get back into a game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of it is kind of the access to games because I remember, lots of JRPGs were like that to where it's going to suck quite a bit for quite a while.
Yeah.
But, you already spent your $50 on this stupid-ass game, so you're going to go ahead and move on.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's as big of a problem or, as big of a play flow anymore because you can just be like, well, fuck you then. I'm just going to go get my other game.
Yeah, I'm going to play something. Well, there's so many games. I mean, I can say that when my friend and I were playing Final Fantasy VII, we played Final Fantasy VII right up until, like, the end of the game. And then we stopped because we wanted to go beat all the weapons.
Yeah.
But we didn't really know how. So we kind of just got sidetracked and then lost interest. It happens to me with every Final Fantasy game. It's about 2/3 of the way through the game. I'm just like, that's enough Final Fantasy. I don't care. I don't fucking care. And then a friend of mine, this is back when I was a teenager and we had a bunch of roommates, and then my friend who was playing it with his girlfriend decided, I'm going to play Final Fantasy VII. So she started playing it. She was playing it. She was really enjoying it. And then one day she was like, you know what? I'm going to beat this game before you guys ever do. And I was like, listen, we can beat the game whenever we want to. We just need to try to beat these big weapons. She's like, you can't. And I'm like, we can. It'd take me like an hour to finish it. She's like, no, you can't. And I was like, great. Well, I'm going to say his name. I was like,
Sklarnak.
Sklarnak. Get in here, Sklarnak. We're going to beat Final Fantasy VII. He was like, all right, man. Cool. So we sat down in like 90 minutes. We hit the end of the game because
Sklarnak sounds pretty chill.
Yeah, he was Sklarnak used to smoke a shitload of weed.
Okay, that explains that.
I used to have primarily heavy stoner roommates because while I am not a stoner, stoner roommates like to watch movies, play video games, and eat and not leave the house a lot. And I'm like, I love all those same things. We'll get along perfectly. I mean, can you think of anything else, any other like franchise or anything that like you had a hard time getting into for the first time or that you went back to later? I can also say that I didn't truck with no Elder Scrolls all the way up until Skyrim.
Actually, that's a very good example.
4 turned me off because of the enemy scaling, and I played the first one and didn't understand. I think it might have been Arena. No, it might have been Daggerfall, where I played it. I didn't understand how the quick travel system worked, so I got out of the opening dungeon and then actually ran on foot to the nearest city, and I was like, dude, fuck this. I am not running between these cities, and didn't play it. And then I told a friend of mine later, and he was like, you can just quick travel. And I was like, I'm done with that.
Well, I would say the first Tenchu, I played it when I was living in Japan, and I was like, this fighting system sucks. This is the worst.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I came back to it later because I had already bought it, and I was already stateside that maybe direct fighting isn't the greatest way to go.
Yeah.
And then the game became a lot more fun.
You mean the game Tenchu Stealth Assassins? When you decided to start doing the stealth assassinations?
I figured I could get around to it at some point.
I'm trying to think of other games. Oh, you know what? Minecraft is one that like people were all like, they're like ripping their own faces off for Minecraft. They're like, Minecraft, I love it. And so I downloaded it, and I'm like, all right, here I am, Minecraft. Let's see what you got, Minecraft. Okay, everything's okay. Punch tree. Punch. Okay, I got wood. Okay, so what am I supposed to do now? So keep punching. Okay, punch tree. Punch. Okay, I got some more wood. And it's like, all right, what do you do now? All right, buttons. Oh, it's a crafting menu. Okay. Well, it's just a square. What am I put wood in the square? Okay, I made a different wood. Now what? And I was just like, because it's like a 3x3 square, right? And I'm just like, are you really telling me that the way that people are playing this game is you got to sit down and put woods in different patterns to see? You know how many different patterns of wood I could be putting in here? Fuck you, Minecraft. And then we were very dismissive of Minecraft forever. And then when it came out on the Xbox 360, it had the thing where it auto crafted for you. Like you told it what you wanted to craft and it would just do it. And there's that video over on Spill where you probably have never seen this, where Jason and I go to play Minecraft on the 360 and we're like, all right, Minecraft, we're going to give you your fair due. So we play it for 30 minutes and we figured out the creepers and the zombies come and they try to kill us. And then we stopped. And then Jason and I were like, do you want to like build a few things before we come back in the second part? And he's like, yeah. We sat there for like 3 hours, and it was funny because Allison came home from work, and Jason and I were just playing Minecraft. And she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Playing Minecraft." And she's like, "Do you guys want like some tater tots?" And I was like, "Yeah!" So she got some tater tots and brought us tater tots, and it was so weird. It was like I was 7 years old.
Did she have to pop them in your mouth because you guys couldn't take your eyes off the screen?
Hell no, man! Controllers are all greasy with tater tots and shit. Yeah. So that's probably one of the biggest examples. MOBAs, I'm still kind of easing my way into MOBAs, but those are a little daunting. I can't say I had a friend who was into Demon Souls who like brought in an import copy of Demon Souls and spent like a year telling me how good it was, and I was like, with the knight on the cover? Fuck it, man. And then it came out stateside, and I was like, all right, I'll fucking play your game.
Well, that was a tough one because that's where you, again, fucking get dragoned really early.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I don't think I would be as big of a fan of that series if I didn't have that particular friend who walked me through the game, who was like, we're going to play this game co-op, where I'm going to summon into your game. And it was a great experience. Him and me and one other friend played through the entire thing, start to finish, with 2 mages and then me as a tank, and it worked beautifully. We just like cutting down bosses. In fact, to the point where I go back and play Demon Souls now, and I'm just like, how do you beat this guy again? I've only beaten him with a bunch of squishy mages, like nuking him from afar. I'm trying to think of anything else. Generally speaking, I tend to have the opposite problem of like playing a game, liking it, and then like I was just about to beat Dragon's Crown, and then the fucking Witness came out, and then I started playing Warframe, and I'm just like, Jeff, just stick to one of them. You've got like 6 hours left, maybe, in Dragon's Crown. Beat it. Finally. You missed it in 2012. It finally came back out again. You've liked it. You're all the way to the end of the game, and there's this big difficulty spike, and now I just am like, I just want to do puzzles.
And then sometimes it's like there's games that you know you're gonna like. You just know that you're shit at it.
Yeah.
And so, like, for me, just pressing through, like, Katamari, when it came out, I was awful at it. But then I just knew, like, I like something about this a whole bunch, so I'm just gonna do the work, and then you end up on the world leaderboards.
Well,
so
there you go.
That's just how it goes.
You've been on the world leaderboards for Katamari? Wow.
Yep.
Nice. All right, well, let's see. Thanks for the question, VJ. Our next one comes in from Drew. Drew says, Dear Jeff and Joe, I was thinking about a feature of the Oculus Rift you mentioned, the virtual movie theater. This is great for a single person, but what about a shared experience with a significant other? 2 Rifts would need to be synced. This led me to million dollar idea number 1. Picture a movie theater in a central urban location. No need to build a giant 15-screen theater. The owner would just have to have enough Rifts, a good sound system / headphones, and comfortable seats. You could see new movies in an area where theaters would be too difficult or expensive to construct. This led me to million dollar idea number 2. VR could create an entirely new genre in cinema. Imagine a first-person film where you are in the center of the action. The characters speak to you. You have to investigate the environment by looking around. Possibilities of misdirection are endless. One character speaking to you while at your side. Another character is secretly performing an action. reaction when you and your friend leave the theater, discuss the film, you realize you actually had a different experience.
Wait, is he talking about a video game?
No.
No, but isn't he talking about a video game?
Sort of. Something they saw that you didn't. What do you think? Am I onto something? Is VR going to change cinema? Thanks for all your hard work to entertain us. Your devoted acolyte, Drew. Well, let me tell you, Drew. As to $1 million idea number one, there's actually a piece of software that you can get that creates an online networked virtual movie theater where everybody has an avatar and you have like emotes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you can just stream a movie and everybody can log into it like a server. I don't know. I think it would probably actually cost more to maintain the number of Oculus Rifts that you're talking about in a room than it would to actually have a movie theater.
Well, not only that, but so
I don't know how much it costs to run a movie.
Well, super rich people can't. They have these boxes that they can stream first run movies as they're in the theater. And
what?
They are super expensive.
How super expensive?
We're talking like $80,000 for the box, and then like the license to actually stream those. We're talking like $10,000 a month.
Okay, so it's like private movie theater.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. As far as your second idea goes, though, that's already well in the pipeline. Oculus has created a movie studio. They have one movie, which I'm so fucking pissed. They keep taking it around and showing it to people. I've got a goddamn DK2, but I can't get it. Where it's like you're in a forest and you hear like this thing and you like can look around and like this like big metal worm comes like inching up out of the forest and you look down at it and it like looks up at you and it kind of like looks around and does some stuff and it's real cute. And then like there's this really loud noise and you see a giant like robot come overhead and reach down and it's one of its fingers.
Is it Vin Diesel?
I don't think so. I don't think it says Superman. But they have another one where they actually have a trailer for it of a little hedgehog guy. It's really it's not easy, but people have already done 360-degree movie experiments. Like I got one. It's actually really interesting because the movie format is on a sphere. Or it's like it's all warped, right? And then you have to project it on top of a sphere that you're sitting in the middle of, and then you can look around and you can see stuff. And it's really effective because it's in full 3D, so you can turn all the way around. Depending on the camera setup, a lot of times you'll have a little distortion, like if you look right up. But you can kind of do a full 360-degree tracking, which if you combine it with like a 5.1 headset, you could totally make a movie. The only problem would be people are already starting to think about this, and they're trying to come up with ways of like, if you're inside of the movie scene, right? How do you make sure the person is looking where you want them to look?
Well, yeah, direction is definitely one thing, but another thing is that movies, part of the experience is that you don't have to do shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know, turning your head left or right a little bit. Like, it definitely is more immersive than any 3D movie I've ever been to or 3D whatever. Because
it's because you haven't seen Avatar in 3D.
That's correct. I don't give no shits about Avatar at all.
Well, as far as the making choices thing, they did that in the 90s.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Like there were theaters where they would basically have like a digital button.
I think kind of what he's talking about is having a movie where you can like where you're not there's enough stuff going on around you that you can kind of focus on what you want to focus on, and then just talk to other people about what your experience was versus what they're. It's really interesting. I mean, there's a bunch of people that are doing experimentation with it now. It's still so goddamn early that I don't feel like it's going to be a thing for a while. I do though feel like it would be really interesting if you had a movie that had a heavy CGI presence, or maybe even a full CGI movie, to make a movie where. By default, your looking forward viewpoint is the movie, but then the screen is essentially expanded around your head to the point where if you're just watching the movie, like you don't actually have to move your head and look around, but there's enough stuff in your peripheral so that it's not like you're watching a flat movie. It's like you are a camera inside of this world doing things. Maybe even a thing where it kind of consistently tries to get your viewpoint back to where square one is. Could be incredibly immersive without having to worry about how to get somebody to look in the right direction. I don't know. Like I said, Oculus they do have this division that's specifically made for making 360-degree movies. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting. It all depends on whether or not the shit catches on. This was actually sent in as a Sunday question, but I'm going to read it here because we don't do that many email questions on Sunday anymore. And this person goes by Smash, and they says, "Hoy there, Smash here. Long-time fan, long-time everything. This might not be a gaming question, but how do you entertain people or talk to them? I don't mean how do you introduce yourself or how do you start talking to someone. I mean continuing to maintain the conversation/relationship past the initial meeting. I'm very okay with breaking the ice at parties or class. I've just never been good at continuing solo conversations. I always feel awkward whenever I invite someone over to my house or if I'm alone with them in a car. I always feel like I need to constantly talk or entertain someone or they might get bored and not want to hang out with me anymore. If they look at their phone or something, I always just get very nervous and insecure. TLDR, how do you maintain a healthy relationship or friendship or relationship with someone? Smash.
Broskies, first off.
Yeah.
Just chill the fuck out.
Yes, that is step number one. And trust me, I understand the paranoia of having a friend look at their phone and being like, oh, God. Just any moment there's going to be like, you know what, you're boring, and then leave. But
yeah, you're not going to get canceled as a friend if they look at their phone.
Right. Well, here's the thing. This is something that took me a long time to understand. If you're talking to a person and there's a lull in conversation and that person is like, you know what, you're boring, and gets up and walks away, that person is in the running. They're on the reality TV show, The World's Greatest Dick Face.
Yeah.
Most normal people won't do that.
No, they won't.
In fact, most normal people, if there's a silence, will be like, eventually, they'll be like, so, did you see anything good on Netflix?
Yeah.
And then, you don't have to be the most entertaining person in the world all the time.
No, you don't. But if you want to keep a conversation going, listening is a huge part of it.
Never, ever, ever underestimate.
And do not interrupt people when they're talking. It's very rude.
Damn it, Joe.
It's seriously rude.
Shut up. You are the worst. You have to get out of here. I got to get back to the biggest dick face in the world competition. Never, ever, ever underestimate the ability of people to want to talk about themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Everyone wants to talk about themselves all the time. All you got to do is be like, how's it going? What'd you do last week? Seen any good movies? Eat anything good? You read any good books?
Shit. I mean, you can just be like, hey, that's a cool watch. You don't even have to ask.
Yep.
You just make an observation, and they will tell you all about how they got it.
Oh, my God, yeah, I totally got this in Amsterdam at blah, 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 blah. And you can be like, oh, what's Amsterdam like? And they're like, blah, 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 blah. Except that you listen when they make those noises.
Right.
And then you say whatever those noises, but you go, oh, blah, 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 and they're like, oh, shloopity, blah, blah, blah. And then, you just do that. Like, all you can have in it, I've seen my father do this before. You can have an entire conversation with people that you don't know, don't agree with, and don't really even like, just by starting with that and then letting them talk.
Yep.
Most people will talk about themselves forever.
That's right.
Forever.
And nowadays, everybody's got a YouTube channel or they're writing the great novel or just ask them, like, so what do you like about your favorite hooker?
Yeah, exactly. Arby sauce. All right, am I right?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. Like, what other sauces do you like? Yeah, especially that one. I mean, you could ask people, goddamn, you could just be like, so what do you want to do with your life? And they'll be like, well, I've always wanted to be an Olympic diver. And you could be like, oh, well, what do you like so much about Olympic diving? And they'll be like, well, when I was a kid, I don't know why you're talking to a 7-year-old, Smash. Come on, man. Hang out with people your own age. Unless you're 7, in which case, please stop listening to this. It's not appropriate for you. Please tell a parent that I did not endorse this. That you're just doing it under the. But do kids still like use a flashlight under the sheet at night to like read comic books? Or does nobody care?
Because they're reading them on their Kindle.
Sitting on their iPhone.
Yeah. On their leapfrogs.
Weird. Okay. Anyway, it's I understand that a lot of times it's scary and stuff, and I could speak from personal experience that I had a group of friends that were very judgmental people about everything, right? And it made me real nervous about talking to other people because I thought like everybody was like my friends. And then after especially when I started going to school and then when I started working at Spill and I met a bunch of new people and I was like, oh no, these are the outlier. Right. To the point now where when I interact with some of them, they don't like me as much because they're like, you've changed. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. So the fourth time you interrupt me when I'm trying to say the same sentence, I'm going to be like, you now need to shut your fucking mouth.
Because interrupting people is very rude.
The sentence. Anyway, Smash, it's not that hard. Everybody likes to talk about themselves. If nothing else, you can remember that.
And just relax.
Yeah.
Just relax, bro.
Relax. And you know what? even if you're not interested in what the other person is saying to you, the nice thing to do is to try to take, I mean, generally speaking, there's something interesting. You may disagree with it. You may not like what they're saying. But generally speaking, there's something in there to talk with another person.
Yeah, bring up your love of Ted Cruz.
Yeah. We've only been doing it for, thousands of years, developed our entire... It's literally the thing that makes us greater than animals. I was listening to one of the Cracked podcasts where they were talking about how animals must see our ability to be like, go find everybody and meet me at the big rock tomorrow when the sun is high. We're going to kill that elephant. How shitty must that be to the elephant who's like, whoa,
what the fuck?
Where did all you fuckers come from? How did you do that? That's like magic and shit. Okay, this next one is from Sturkin. It sounds like one of the fake names from my friend.
Yeah, that's one of your Stunner buddies.
Yeah. Sturkin says, keep your dong cleats in your pants. I'm not going to ask if I should play Dark Souls. I'm a longtime listener, and I know the drill. Last week on the podcast, you mentioned that a friend of yours who likes Dark Souls recommended Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen to you. What similarities do you find between the two now that you've picked it back up for the dojo? As someone who is loving getting his ass handed to him more than expected in Dragon's Dogma, is this third-person action RPG enough to get my toes wet? The Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition mocks me endlessly from my Steam library, and I want to jump in. Or maybe I'll just skip Dark Souls since listening to your podcast allows me to talk about it like an expert with friends without them suspecting the 6-minute played counter on Steam isn't a glitch. May you and the Dog Lord ride shiny and hard to the gates of Valhalla. That's good. I like the Valhalla thing. Sturkin. The funny thing is that the person that liked Dragon's Dogma that is this guy, the same guy that I was talking about that we called like Sturkin or whatever the made up name was. So
okay,
Sturkin. So let's see similarities between Dragon's Dogma and Dark Souls. Like the third person action isn't as technical as Dark Souls, but I like the way that you can summon like people in from other games. Is kind of like Dark Souls. It just has a very kind of similar aesthetic to big bosses. Like it's not really exactly the same. It's more just kind of third-person action, but it's just kind of a weird third-person action game done right. As far as whether or not it's going to prepare you for Dark Souls, not really, but it might give you, if you get to the end of Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, you probably have a good idea about what it's going to take to play Dark Souls. I usually just play it. Just start the game. If you're having a hard time with it, restart the game. Be a wizard. Magic is super overpowered in Dark Souls.
Okay.
You'll breeze through the first part of the game pretty easily. It'll teach you to dodge. You won't be sitting behind a shield. You won't have to worry about as much of that stuff. So just do it, man. Just do it. And don't skip it and pretend like the podcast told you enough, because it's really a great experience. Next up, Oscar says, "Hey Jeff and Joe. EA Access has the ability to download and play the full game for a 10-hour trial, meaning the clock is only running when you're playing the game, not the length of time you have the game downloaded. If you enjoy playing it, you can buy the game once the trial ends. Do you think if more companies or even consoles decided to apply this formula to download a full trial before buying, that they would make more money or lose more, or at least just start off with electronic copies, because there is just no way in selling your electronic copy once you buy and download and then realize, ooh, this game sucks." Sorry for the long question. Thanks for all the wisdom, Oscar. So do you know what EA Access is?
No.
Okay, it's EA has a subscription service where you spend $50 for a year of EA Access.
Okay.
It gives you discounts on certain games.
All right.
It gives you a few free EA games that come up in their library from time to time. And it also gives you the ability with some games to, when you buy a game, you can start playing it like 2 or 3 days before anybody else can.
Okay.
I think I'm probably going to sign up for it at some point once an EA game that I really care about actually comes out. But having the game be able to, if you have EA Access, it seems like you download, these are only EA games.
Yeah.
You can play it for 10 hours in game time, and if you don't like it, you can return it. Honestly, Oscar, I don't think that would be a good deal for most companies.
No, the companies will get screwed out of it.
Yeah. Most companies, I mean, when you consider that there's a lot of action games that really only clock in at about 8 hours.
Yeah.
You know, any one of those games is going to get boned because a significant number of people are going to be like, well, done.
Yep.
Give me back my money.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Yep. So while I'm a big fan of consumer rights and stuff like that, I don't think that would be a good thing. And while I agree that it would probably protect you from buying shitty games, or getting tricked into buying shitty games, that's not something that companies want you to avoid or be able to avoid.
No.
They want you to buy their shitty game and then be like, oh, man, and not return it. Because if they did, then they'd have a huge problem on their hands. So, yeah, I don't think that that's going to work. I mean, EA has a, with the whole 10-hour thing, they've got to roll the dice and say that you already gave them the equivalent of
a game
up front for the service. So they can afford to have you buy and return one game and still break even, ahead of time. But I don't know. I'm still kind of trying to figure out like what the best way. I'm a big fan of thinking that you should be able to return a game. Like if a game comes out and it's broken, I think that if everybody had to get their money back and suddenly the publisher made like $0,
well, guess what? Don't release it.
It'd be like, that'll teach you to do that. Next time you won't do that, Next time there's a big thing where everybody gets but then see, the problem is that you run into a huge issue with this where you go, yeah, but everybody got pissed off at like the end of Mass Effect 3. If they were all able to return their copy of Mass Effect 3 because they played all the way to the end and didn't like the last 10 minutes of the game.
But enjoyed everything else. Yeah.
What kind of message is that sending? I guess don't hire Casey Hudson is the message that's sending. But yeah, I don't think that would work for most games. I do think that I like the idea, though, of being able to track how many hours you've played the game by using a lot of the dumb always-on shit that they do these days.
Yeah.
And then using that as a metric to decide whether or not you are allowed to get a refund because you've only played it for 2 or 3 hours. All right. Another VR question comes in from Andy, who says, hey, Jeff and Joe, with the recent announcement of the Oculus costing $600, a lot of PlayStation owners are hoping that Sony will take advantage of the situation and announce their VR headset at a much lower price point, say around $400, in order to win more customers. My question is, with the PS4 costing $350, how would you feel about buying a peripheral that would cost around the same or more than the system that it's on? Wouldn't it be strange to pay more money for something that in the end can be seen as I think he means to say, wouldn't it be strange to pay more money for something that in the end can be seen as simply supplementary, I don't know if that's a word, supplemental to the experience? Would love to hear your thoughts. Andy.
No, it's not weird at all.
No?
No.
I think it's weird.
Ever have a camera?
Well, oh, yeah, no. Yeah, never mind. You and I are on the same page. Sorry, we're getting to like the 2-hour mark. We're getting to the loopy part. I think that it's better when you look at don't look at the VR headset as if it's a controller. Look at it as if it is a screen.
Yeah.
How much did you pay for your TV that you're playing the PlayStation 4 on? Probably more than $350. This is literally an output, a way that that's pie in the sky, right?
Yeah.
To think that you'll be able to do everything that you can do on your PS4, but through the headset. But if that's the case, then no, that's not an outrageous price to pay. $600 is a bit much.
But, this is still early adopter prices.
Absolutely. That's the other thing to remember is, do you remember how goddamn expensive fucking cell phones were when they first came out? Or HDTVs. Mm-hmm. This HDTV that we're looking at here in the studio, I got, my boss, when at the place that I was working, got a bunch, off of a truck, and I'm not entirely sure where they came from.
Yeah, no, they fell off the truck.
And he let us buy them for, I think they were $500 a piece, and it was like, holy shit, a full 1080p TV for $500? Dude, I want two, but I can only afford one.
Yeah.
I literally called my parents and was like, hey, can I borrow $200? I swear to God, I'll pay you back next month, but I need to do this now. Because when I first got my PlayStation 3, I had an SD TV, and PS3 on an SD TV was
horrid.
Not fun. I also had a monitor, a little 14-inch monitor. This one I think is 19 that I've got here, but a little 14-inch computer monitor, flat panel computer monitor. And I had a DVI to HDMI cable. So in the early days, I had two options. I could play my PlayStation 3 on my big, it was, 27-inch TV or something like that. Or it might be 36-inch. I don't know. Or I could take one of these little bar stools and sit it right in front of my gaming chair and put a 14-inch monitor and put my face up close to it. So in any case, Andy, to bring it back around to your question, yeah, if you're not insane in the membrane for VR, if your loins aren't on fire for virtual reality, don't do it.
Yeah.
Dude, Like, wait until it's $250 or it's $300 and there's a Black Friday sale on HTC Vive headsets. Hell, we don't even know which one of there's 3 right now. We don't even know which one of these is going to come out on top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's.
I mean, there's production model Oculus, production model HTC Vive, and then the PlayStation one. Like, 2 of those could be total garbage. The Oculus and the PlayStation one could be the worst, and the Valve one could be the best.
Yeah.
Or the Valve one could be the worst, and the Oculus turns out, because they were first to market, to be the one that you want to get. But, I mean, the other thing about that is you just have to... The PlayStation one could be great if they make support for games. I have a feeling, I hate that I have to say this, but anybody who's been around in the industry long enough should be able to see the writing on the wall for this. The fucking Sony one is going to cost at least $600, if not $700, because that's how Sony rolls.
Yeah.
Sony don't undercut prices. They did with the PlayStation over the Xbox One, but I have a feeling that might have been part happy accident as well. But they're not going to underprice VR because they know it's for early adopters. And I have a feeling that every single thing that comes out for the VR on the PlayStation 4 is going to be like Fruit Ninja for Kinect. It's going to be a shitty VR playground app. It's not going to be
more of a proof of concept sort of thing.
Right. It's probably going to take, I don't know, maybe an entire gaming generation before it gets in there far enough to do it. If you're really interested in VR, I think you're going to have a better time putting any money that you would spend on a PlayStation into a PC that can run VR, a gaming PC that can run VR, because mods already exist.
Yeah.
Like, let you run GTA 5.
Well, like, I mean, the biggest barrier to it, like anything else, is that it's a matter of price point and it's a matter of content available.
Right.
So if you really want to see it happen, you have to support it.
Yes.
You can't just say, like, oh, I'll wait till it gets better. If you really believe that it's a thing, you have to throw your money behind it. Otherwise, it won't come about.
Well, yeah, but I feel like it's also, though, a balancing act. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to give me something to put my money behind.
No, sure, yeah.
Because my DK2 has been sitting on that shelf for like months, and I'll look from time to time to be like, and everybody has taken the development for VR and they've closed it up because they're making retail products to put out once the shipping models come out. So like all the demos and support for this game and that game, there's a few things that'll come up on Steam from time to time, is pretty much dried up though. So I think that it's going to be interesting by the midpoint of this year to be like, okay, show me, how is Eve Valkyrie, right? Is it a full game? It looks fucking incredible. Like, if it's a full game that's fun to play, yeah. Is that Insomniac game that's about like Cthulhu at the North Pole going to be an interesting game? It looks like it's going to be interesting. If it is, great. If that movie that Oculus is making comes out, or if the HTC has this whole Portal demo that I feel like everybody who sees it says it's amazing, where they bring out the Atlas robot and then it like, have you seen this? Like, the ball robot from Portal 2? And like, it brings it into a repair space, and then like the front of it comes apart and drags like all of the internal components out with it, and they all spread out into this giant, it's like floating in midair, and you have a manipulator like hand sensor thing where you have to go in and like turn stuff and moves, and you can like turn the whole thing and then put it back together. Everybody that's seen it says it's fucking incredible. I still am going to say that it would not surprise me. I don't want to like make this as like a full, like, I'm saying this is going to happen. It would not surprise me though if after the HTC Vive comes out, if Half-Life 3 is announced with full support for the HTC Vive that like makes the game twice as good. Yeah. Because if there was anything that could push that tech forward, it would be that, oh shit, and here's Half-Life 3 and it runs flawlessly on this technology.
And then Sony has to counter with a remake of the Lawnmower Man video game.
Right. Obviously, the top property.
Yeah.
All right, I got 3 more questions here. This next one comes in from Bo the Buddha, who says, "Greetings, Rage Against the Quit. Sorry, that was terrible. Let me move on to my question. So, Jeff, you've mentioned the Dune books multiple times in the podcast and on videos as well. Thanks to you, I got addicted to the amazing world woven by Frank Herbert, and I recently finished them. My melange spice addiction has been quenched, but it got me to thinking, what other science fiction novels managed to leave a lasting impression on you? For me, the books are by Philip K. Dick, like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which inspired Blade Runner, Ubik, which is, in my opinion, an amazing novel, and his lesser-known short story, Mr. Spaceship, just to name a few. not to mention the works of Isaac Asimov. Keep on raging forward, you amazing pioneers of awesomeness, from your friendly Balkan Slav, Bo the Buddha. So, Joe, what are some of your favorite sci-fi franchises?
Well, I mean, more just writers, but this is definitely one of those things where like, no, I don't like Heinlein because he's a dick mouth.
Yeah,
it's very polarizing in the sci-fi.
I used to like Heinlein quite a bit until I started reading Frank Herbert, and then I went back and I was like, oh, this is a baby's toy. Okay.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You're dismissing it.
Yeah,
but like Stranger in a Strange Land, or obviously my favorite is Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers is a hell of a book.
That was a great book.
Yep.
So just reread that a whole bunch of times.
I mean, the Moon is a Harsh Mistress is probably, my dad used to be a big fan of that, and I think it was one of the books that kind of started me down my Heinlein road until I went to over to Frank Herbert and his camp. I did Asimov for a while. Like I was doing the Foundation series for a while, and then I just stopped.
Dude, well,
I was like, how many of these are there again? I'm like on book 6 of this shit. Like,
for me personally, I could never really get into Heinlein. Or not Heinlein, Asimov. He just didn't do it for me.
Yeah. Well, I remember reading I, Robot and didn't like it very much, and then I remember reading Foundation. I liked that a lot more, but it just kind of kept going on and on and on and on and on. I've tried reading Philip K. Dick a few times. I think that Philip K. Dick has wonderful ideas. I also think that he is a very bad writer.
Yes. Neuromancer was not well written.
That's not Philip K. Dick. That's William Gibson.
Oh, him too.
I love William Gibson. I will fight you on the moon. I've read everything that William Gibson has written, and I think that he's a fantastic author personally. But
okay,
you don't like? I mean, you don't like him. You don't like him. This is the internet. So I hope your mom. No,
well, I'm gonna downvote you.
Yeah, that's right. I think Neil Stephenson is really good, but you have to pick your battles with Neil Stephenson.
Which one's he?
Snow Crash, Diamond Age, Cryptonomicon. So he wrote those. Snow Crash is one of those. I mean, okay, so Joe doesn't like him. I think everybody should give Neuromancer a try. It's. I think it's another one of those books where a friend of mine was like, "Read this book," and I was like, "Oh, I love it." Snow Crash is kind of like Neil Stephenson's Neuromancer, and then the sequel to it, The Diamond Age, is really interesting because it's a nanotech future, and so it's all nanotechnology. And it's really interesting because it kind of pushes the idea far out. Then he writes a book called Cryptonomicon, and Cryptonomicon is like one of these like 1,700, 2,500 page just monsters. And it's weird because you must know a little something about cryptography, World War II, and computers in order to get anything out of that book. And it's kind of like, I almost imagine reading that book that it's a lot like what people must have felt like reading Dickens back in the old days, because about 1,500 pages of Cryptonomicon, I was just like, whew. It was like eating sawdust. I'm just like, oh boy, wow. Okay. And then about, once you firmly invested in it, then it starts doing stuff where you're like, oh shit, this all has stakes and I'm really into it. Then I started reading his next series, which is called the Quicksilver trilogy or something like that. That all assumes that you have like a really minute knowledge of like 1700s America. I don't know.
Oh, awesome.
And I didn't know enough about it to just be like, you're referencing some people and I don't know who the fuck they are. But then skip forward a little bit. He has one called Reemda, R-E-M, like read me, but with the things that is about a fictional MMO and Russian crime syndicate and a virus and a hacker and that kind of stuff. I think it's an interesting book for anybody who's a fan of online games. And then the last one that I read from him, that I think was his latest book, was called Seven Eves. And that was one that had an awful lot, like it starts and the majority of the book takes place on the International Space Station.
Okay.
The premise for that one is that the moon shatters and the debris from the moon is going to basically come into the atmosphere and create not a shell, but like it's going to create a cloud over the Earth that's going to bake the Earth. So the only option is they're trying to get as many people off the Earth and onto the International Space Station as humanly possible. I have to say, and this sounds so fucking stupid and trite, that I don't think I would have enjoyed that book as much if I hadn't have spent like 2 months with my head all the way up Kerbal Space Program's ass, learning like about parabolic orbits and how to maintain, how to do thrust and vectoring and stuff like that. Because there's a lot of that like super technical stuff in there that I was like, oh, I know what you're talking about, right? And so I feel like Neil Stephenson's good, but as you get further down his books, it's like you need to have a certain level of knowledge. I just feel like you're going to be missing out on a lot of it. Like if you didn't know anything about online MMOs and you tried to read Reamda, you'd just be like, well, it's like a crime book. And it's like, well, it's half a crime book, but it's also about this weird fictional MMO. I also read a bunch of garbage pulp space war writer guys.
Okay. Like Jag in Space. That was a book series that I had to work on.
Jag in Space?
Yep.
No.
The TV show Jag.
Right.
But in space.
There are no advocates or generals. Well, there are generals, but there's no judges or advocates in the books that I'm reading. There's like 5 guys that I know that just crank out like, it's a bunch of Marines and we're on a spaceship and we're going to go fight these aliens. It's like some guy was like, I'm going on a trip. Jeff, do you have any sci-fi novels that you could recommend to me? And I'm like, okay, well, here's like all the garbage that I've been reading, and it's like this guy and this guy and this guy. At the top of that is probably James S.A. Corey and his Expanse series, which I still haven't watched the fucking sci-fi series of, and John Scalzi's Old Man War series. I think is really, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but John Scalzi. I've read his Old Man's War series. Lock-In is interesting. It's like a murder mystery in a weird future where like people in the population have this disease where they can't move, but they've developed these like it was a movie with Bruce Willis where it's like everybody walks around in a robot body instead of their real body, and then his robot body gets blown up, and then he's got to go out and do detective work in his real body. Surrogate.
I missed that one completely.
All right, he had blonde hair. Yeah, okay. No, I remember that movie. It's kind of like that, and then he had another one. And this one won, I believe, won the Hugo Award a while back, called Red Shirts. That's basically about like. The premise of it is a bunch of people on a starship that's basically like the starship. It is the Starship Enterprise, but the premise of it is that this is an actual ship in an actual universe that's flying around doing its own business. But every so often, like half the people on the ship have this seizure and start acting like complete fucking idiots because like it's like whenever the TV show is filming, it takes over the lives of the people in this actual universe. Mm-hmm. And there's a bunch of people a bunch of like the lower ranked people on the ship who realize that like these assholes are going to get us killed. We've got to get the fuck out of this place. And then they end up like coming over into our world. It's crazy. Anyway, so yeah, there's all that, and that's my sci-fi stuff. Any more you want to throw out there? More recommendations?
As far as like junk, like I devoured the Warhammer 40K books.
I read one of those. I keep wanting to read the Horus Heresy stuff because I liked the one that I read. But
I mean, at a certain point, I just realized I was like, oh, this is like a Dragonlance Chronicle novel, or just like any other, just sort of we got an IP attached to it. Let's write some books.
Yep. I think it's weird because I would like to read. I like Warhammer 40K's universe, and I like their mythology a lot, but it's like I need them to take those books and write the Horus Heresy Part 1, the Horus Heresy Part 2, instead of like
names.
Like I have to like look up a Wikipedia article to be like, okay, what order do these fucking go in?
Well, I mean, they're the reason, those books are the reason why the Space Wolves are my favorite in Warhammer 40K.
I've always been a big fan of the Ultramarines.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Judge me based on my Warhammer predilections. All right, this next one comes in from Taylor, who says, hey, Jeff and Joe. I played the MOBA Smite fairly competitively on the amateur level since the beta and had a great time doing it. As the game gathered a larger audience, I found that most, if not every match, ended with one or both teams arguing in the post-game lobby chat. In my experience, they always start with one person criticizing another player for making a simple mistake. The community is split on how to deal with this problem. One side says that developers should hand out stricter penalties for harassing behavior, while others state that people should grow thicker skins as this is the way the competitive gaming culture is. In my opinion, the community's behavior is driving customers like myself away to other products because it's not enjoyable having one of your teammates describe all the ways one should off themselves. If esports like Smite want a larger general audience, they need to grow up and follow professional sports by reinforcing good sportsmanlike behavior.
Whoa, okay. Well,
do you think game developers should be critical towards their players' behavior at the risk of banning or alienating paying customers? Taylor. And he says, love the show, but take a vacation, Jeff. You deserve it. I had one. I had like 3 full days off. Fucking.
Yeah, you were in an Arby's haze.
That's right. I was in an Arby's coma. This has been a thing that's been a problem in MOBAs for a long time. I don't know. I'm kind of interested to know what you would think about this.
Well, the whole professional sportsman, like that's just a misconception right there. In the big leagues, that's where the biggest shit is talked.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah, I think that it's hard. It's really difficult to make that transition. I mean, I guess it'd be like I wouldn't know. I guess it'd be like making the transition between like playing a game of basketball like with your friends and then playing with some other people who were there like on teams against each other, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's no like guarantee that those people aren't going to be dick faces, right? About it. I understand that there's a certain amount of, there's a certain amount of shit talking that's expected in just about anything, right?
Yeah.
Professional fighting games and first person shooters and all that stuff. Like it's actually part of the fun as long as it's not, really personal and nasty, right? Where you're just like, how many goddamn wrestling promos are there that's just like one guy, or when the boxers they get ready to make out, before the fight, when they stand like all up in each other's faces,
like little hummy kisses, like.
I guess the thing is that it's just, I guess what those communities probably just have to understand is like, I don't know it. But then there's the other side of that coin for me that's always like, because there's the thing, this thing, right? Sorry if I'm rambling. It's just a long podcast, but where you've heard this thing where male nerds will demand lady nerds prove their credentials so that they can be part of a fandom, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, you're wearing a Green Lantern shirt. What do you know about Green Lantern?
What about Sinestro?
Tell me about Sinestro, blah, 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 blah. And I've always been like, why? Why are you doing this? Let more women in. We can date them, you guys. We can totally date them. Or we can at least talk to them and they'll be pretty and we can talk to them about video games. I mean, before now, what point in human history were nerdy dudes able to have a conversation with some like good-looking lady about Final Fantasy VII and have them know what the hell they're talking about? To the point where I don't understand just like aggressively shitting on somebody who did something wrong in a. I mean, it's so hard. I can see both sides of it, right? Like, grow a thick skin. That doesn't work. I got news for you guys. That never fucking works. It doesn't happen. You don't abuse somebody into being into taking abuse better. You can abuse them into hiding it better, or turning off their emotions altogether. But you don't take somebody who feels hurt when you say bad things to them. It's not a matter of saying enough bad things to them. Because guess what? They're still fat people. And we say all the bad things to fat people, and they're still fat people. So if that was going to work, it would have worked by now, right? So I don't know, man. I think that it's maybe the sort of thing where it's like, I don't know. It's got to be able to say, like...
It's a value judgment. You
got to stop. Maybe at a certain point, you have to be able to say to the other person, you must stop talking to me. And they must be like, okay, I will
Right. Well, I mean, communication is definitely one of the parts about that. But then there also has to be... Are you getting so much joy out of this that you're willing to put up with that environment?
It's funny because I think that it's one of those, like, all MOBAs right now, or not all of them, the Blizzard one. But
Hashtag not all MOBAs.
Not all MOBAs. Dota 2 and like Smite and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
When it works, it's like playing a team sport. And it takes so much investment as far as skill and knowledge of the way the game works that when you are winning, it's like all of the feedback, all the positive feedback is right for you. It's like not that the game is balanced wrong and I figured out a way to cheese this boss. No, you are fighting 5 other people that are on their team and you have outmatched them. And like the few times that I played, I've only played like 3 actual honest to God online matches. And the few times that I actually played online, I think it was in Heroes of the Storm, and beat the other team, it was great. It was just like, wow, this is incredible. So I think so. It's just that I think that there's just such a goddamn high learning curve to get in there. Like in Dota 2, you need to spend 70 hours to learn how bad you are at the game. Then you can start getting better at it, like over the course of the next year. So during that time period, there's so many opportunities for a person to make a mistake and then to get yelled at to the point where they're like, fuck this, I'm going to go play Dark Souls, or The Witness, or literally any of the other hundreds of video games that are out there that don't involve other people just screaming at me and doing stuff. So I don't know. To me, it feels like a thing where I understand why it's there, and I understand the frustration of the people that are wanting to chide other people so they don't do something wrong again. But if you just drive that person fully away, what good did that do? You know, you probably would have been better off having them in your fandom or league or whatever. All right, last question. This one comes in from Daniel. Daniel says, "Hello, Rage Crew. Get your grumpy old man jorts on for this one. Since y'all are getting older and seeing the video game market transform in front of your eyes, I have to ask, are there trends and genres of games that younger people enjoy that you don't understand? Is there something you want those damn kitty gamers to appreciate? Oh, also, is there something you want those damn kitty gamers to appreciate and respect? Thanks and take care, Daniel." Let's see. Are there trends and genres of games that younger people enjoy that you don't understand?
No, not really.
Yeah, I mean, I think I spend a lot of time like thinking about why people. I mean, I can like I personally am not a huge fan of tower defense, right?
Yeah,
but I can understand why people would like tower defense.
Yeah,
like it's like more of a puzzle than anything else. Like I don't like sports games, but I understand why people like sports games. Like I had somebody on the website last week who was saying who's this big fan of Rocket League, who really wants me to like Rocket League, and I don't like Rocket League. Like, it's an online multiplayer soccer car game.
Yeah, it's a Rocket League.
And when you look at the things that I don't like in video games, they kind of start at, well, the like in going in I'm not a big fan of sports games, not a big fan of driving games, not a big fan of adversarial online multiplayer games. So if this was, it'd be like I don't like broccoli, and it's like, well, I have made you the greatest broccoli dish of all time. Be like, that's great. I don't like broccoli, though.
It's still an all-star, don't get me wrong.
That's right. Trends and genre, you know, I don't No, I don't really know. I don't know if there's anything that can really put in that category.
I think we've seen enough shit, and you will too when you're wearing your old man jorts. That you notice that the world's going to do what it's going to do, and if it sticks around, it's for a goddamn reason.
I mean, I was there's a time where I might have been able to say like phone games, but I got like 6 phone games installed that I play. There's some free to play stuff that has been a little bit like, but it's free. So I mean, like, you know, I understand if you hack at the Taco Bell menu and you don't got money for a new game, you want to play Path of Exile or Warframe or something, and you're willing to dump time instead of money into it. Why
Makes
not?
Sense. Like Minecraft, at first I was like, oh, that looks boring, but then I realized, oh, if people just like doing repetitive things that slowly build something up and they're just passing the time, that's the perfect game to do that.
Another friend of mine showed me her Minecraft world where, to relieve stress, she basically is just digging the world out. Like, she's got an area that she's just going as far down as possible until she hits lava, and then she'll go back up, move over, put a bunch of glass on top of it. So she's got this giant area of glass that you can just see all the way down to the middle of the bottom of the earth. I'm like, why? And she's like, you know, when I come home from work, I need to relax, and like this is just something like mindless and repetitive. You just disengage your brain when you're having bad thoughts and just be like, I mean, you know, I don't understand people who put zillions of hours. I understand. I would never put zillions of hours into Call of Duty, right? Yeah. But other people do. They love it. It's the only game they play. Some people just play Madden. I don't like Madden. I don't even fucking care about Madden. People are goddamn rabid for Halo. Last week on the show, John said he liked Halo 5, and people were like, no! Fuck Halo 5, it's the worst! And I'm like, oh, I don't care.
Sorry for that opinion, guys.
Some people like some people like Sonic, and I don't understand why, but hey, man, you like Sonic?
Dude, you gotta get them rings.
Yeah. As far as games I want those damn kitty gamers to appreciate and respect, I don't know. I've long given up on that. Children, not even children, people who are more than about 10 years younger than I am. I'm 37. Anybody who's younger than 27, it's kind of like you live in an entirely different world. You've had a cell phone your entire life. Like, you don't even remember things like VHS tapes and the internet has always been around for some people. Right. So you start to come to a point where I'm like, and every so often I get to wax nostalgic about being old with my old man jorts. But the thing is that I'm cognizant enough to not be my dad, to be like, you know, when I was your age, we had VHS tapes. and it was shitty. And that's not an experience that I want you to ever have. You know, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I had a pager. And that was a terrible thing. And I'm glad you have cell phones because pagers were awful. And so was reading a comic book with a flashlight under your sheet. And they sold VHS tape rewinders, like a whole other thing to put your VHS tape into to rewind it.
And you couldn't get your Arby sauce from a little pump. You had to use a squeeze bottle.
Damn right. Damn. Hell, man. Do you remember, like, before most ketchup came in squeeze bottles when it was in glass and then, like, a whole jokes and stuff about you tap it on the side and, like, yeah. There was a time before Dippin' Dots ice cream. I don't want to live there anymore. I'm happy in my Dippin' Dots. So, yeah, I don't know. Actually, no. I brought this question up. I probably should have picked a different one. There's no trends that I don't understand, and there's nothing that I want the children to respect because they're going to do what they do.
Yeah.
The harder you try to make them respect a thing, the less they're going to anyway. It doesn't matter.
Playing a song for somebody and trying to get them to like it.
Yep.
It's all in their ears.
Yep. This is a thing the internet hasn't figured out yet. There are very few times in your life that you can force somebody to like a thing that they don't like. No matter what. You'd be like, oh, my God, you mean you don't like Steven Soderbergh movies? Let me show you the 5 best Steven Soderbergh movies. You'd be like, yeah, I've seen them, and I don't like them.
And they're all Magic Mike.
Yep. All Magic Mike all the time. And that, Joe, is our podcast for the week.
So it is.
Thank you very much for coming over. mail@rageselect.com is the email address. If we didn't get to your email this week, feel free to throw it in. Joe, do you have anything that people need to know about? Do you want to just tell them?
Just the zebrasundesign.com.
Okay. What can they get at the zebrasundesign.com?
No, ebooks or graphic design or look at, drawings of zebra.
Okay. Drawings of zebra, ebooks, and graphic design. Great. All right. Well, this has been the Rage Select podcast, and I think should we go to Arby's or Taco Bell? Is it Taco Bell, Arby's?
I think it might time for the double fister.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
we're gonna go to both.
All
right, we're gonna go to Arby's and Taco Bell. Take that, me.
Cool.